Welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. This is the Hungary Grand Prix review, and just to go straight into it, Max Verstappen has won a 7th race in a row. A brilliant performance for Max Verstappen in Hungary. And also a great race from Sergio Perez, starting in 9th and coming and finishing in 3rd. Norris finishes in 2nd, though. A great race for him as well. Piastri unfortunately finishes in 5th, and Lewis Hamilton, after starting in pole, only finishes in 4th. Reese, your thoughts on that race?
Yes, it was certainly a very exciting race, especially in the beginning, in the opening stages where we had three cars fighting it out for first position. I mean, Hamilton unfortunately had a very bad start there, and just lost 3 places pretty much within 2 corners, going all the way down to 4th. He, of course, fell a little bit further back during the pit stop phases and then made his way back to 4th near the end. I'm sure he'll be quite disappointed not to have had a podium finish here. He was catching Sergio Perez quite quickly near the end, but not able to get that podium position.
No, indeed. And unfortunately, a terrible start to the race for Alpine. And just to go straight to the beginning of the race there. So into turn 1, we did say an incident would happen in turn 1, and it resulted in 2 cars unfortunately retiring from the race. Not quite then, didn't cause any safety car, but didn't have a single safety car the entire race, and no even stress of having it. So quite interesting that in itself. But we did have both Alpines getting hit by, well, it was a whole little a bit of a bumper bashing. What happened? Zhou had a terrible start, stalled on the start, and once he got going, he went into the back of Ricciardo, who went into the back of Ocon, who went into the back of Gasly, and both Alpines picking up a lot more damage than the other 2 cars. So unfortunately, we saw both Alpines retire after the first couple of laps. So terrible start for them. Ricciardo managed to fight his way back, though, into a decent position. He managed to finish there in just 13th position after starting more or less there and also getting hit. So not a bad start for the race weekend for him. And Logan Sargent also could not finish after a spin right near the end of the race, picking up a bit of damage, and he had to finish the race there and there.
Retired on the final lap, which is not great. I mean, I think they're pretty much over him at this point. They just went, okay, let's just go home now, please. Come into the pits and get out the car.
And just to confirm for you, sorry, Reese, just want to
Yes.
confirm the fact that Russell did indeed finish in 6th position after starting all the way down in 18th. Leclerc had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Very stupid mistake, which cost him his position. He was 6th. Russell, however, goes ahead of him into 6th now. Leclerc drops into 7th. So the Mercedes finish in 4th and 6th. Russell, as I say, starting in 18th. Great race for him. He was certainly my driver of the day. And I'm not sure who your driver of the day was, Reese, but he was certainly mine.
Well, I was quite impressed with Oscar Piastri having a great start to the race, being able to hold back his teammate, putting a bit of a gap over onto him as well, and then kind of got screwed a little bit by McLaren in the pit stop strategy where they brought in Lando Norris first, and he was just able to get a lot more pace and undercut him in the pits, of course, and then Piastri was kind of stuck a little bit behind him and got hung out to dry and got overtaken a bit and finished down in 5th. But still a good race from him nonetheless. He will be my driver of the day.
Okay, interesting. So Piastri, couldn't get a podium this time around once again. The Orange Army's out in force as Max Verstappen once again won another Grand Prix. I mean, how easy was it for Max Verstappen with these new upgrades on Red Bull?
I mean, for all that he was complaining about balance issues in this newly upgraded Red Bull, he looked so comfortable out on track with getting the job done in the first corner, in the first lap, and then just having a clean race from then onwards. I mean, he's certainly getting quite good at doing that and managing a race quite confidently out there. He cannot seem to be doing any better at the moment. He's performing phenomenally.
Yeah, and so person who didn't perform phenomenally at all, considering his performance yesterday, which is brilliant, was Guan Yu Zhou. He managed to qualify in 5th position and dropped all the way down into 16th over the course of the race. So terrible race for him. Probably a day he wants to forget.
Yes, I think it will certainly be one that he will push very far back in the memories because, you don't want to think of a day like this, having a stall at the start and then having a collision into turn 1. It's going to be a long debrief for him this evening on the private jet back home, I'm sure. But I'm sure it will it won't affect him all that much
So
going into the
I
rest of
do
the race
enjoy the
because
little
he's
comment there, the private jet back home. Yeah, so just going through our final bottom 10. So Pierre Gasly and Ocon did not finish the race. They got retired their cars right at the beginning. That's 2 weekends in a row for Alpine that they've had to retire their cars. So really, really upsetting day for them. And I'm sure they're all crying in the pits and wondering, what on earth did we do wrong? Logan Sargent also did not finish the last lap. He had to come in 18th position, of course. And then, of all the drivers still out in the grid, Magnussen in 17th, Guan Yu Zhou in 16th, Tsunoda in 15th, Hulkenberg 14th, Daniel Ricciardo, not a bad start, also outperforming his teammate in 13th position, his first Grand Prix back. Bottas in 12th, Alex Albon also managed to get up from 16th into 11th, so not a bad race day for him. And then Lance Stroll starts off our top 10. Read us the last top 10 from 10th position upwards.
Well, in 10th position, we had Lance Stroll. I think this is the correct. Yes, I think this is the correct result to have. Lance Stroll in 10th, Fernando Alonso in 9th position, Carlos Sainz in 8th, Charles Leclerc then in 7th place. George Russell having a good day out there after starting quite far down, was able to get up into 6th. I did think that he was going to be able to get around 5th or 6th in the race, and he certainly proved me correct there in that Mercedes. Oscar Piastri, unfortunate, only getting 5th here today, missing out on a podium for the second race weekend in a row. Lewis Hamilton finishing in 4th. Bit of a comeback from him after having a dismal start to the race, just missing out on a podium place. Sergio Perez finishing in 3rd on that last step of the podium. Lando Norris, another second place finish 2 weekends in a row. Very happy for him. Then Max Verstappen once again taking that first spot.
Indeed. And I mean, Max Verstappen, what a great race and very, very easy for him. He also finishes with the fastest lap time of the day at 1:22.2, which is quite a lot quicker than the rest of the laps. Nobody else managed to get into the 1:22s, so just shows how much quicker he is in that Red Bull car of his. Lando Norris, fantastic race, getting into 2nd position. Both McLarens had a great start. Oscar Piastri had a brilliant start, got ahead of his teammate Lando Norris and ahead of Hamilton, and almost got ahead of Verstappen as well, but was just unable to make that maneuver in the first lap, and hence Max Verstappen managed to get away from him. But as you say, I do feel Piastri's race was a little bit sabotaged by his own team. When he came out of the pits, they pushed Norris ahead of him rather than Piastri, who was ahead of Norris at the time. I do think if Piastri came out ahead of Norris, we'd probably be looking at a double McLaren podium.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I think they felt they had to put Lando a bit earlier to cover some of the other people who also decided to pit a bit earlier. And it just seemed to work out to be the better pit strategy, and they should have done it with Piastri instead. But there's always hindsight. Yeah, just disappointed that his race was a little bit compromised.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, a terrible, terrible day out once again for Ferrari. What on earth happened there?
Ferrari, I think, once again, just getting the strategy wrong. Just seeing in the comment section, Jill Horsley watching from KZN. Thank you very much for watching. I'm also in KZN, so great to see you in the comment section. Yeah, I mean, Ferrari just getting the strategy wrong again. They could have had a good day out here. They had some good pace in the beginning sectors or good beginning section of the race, and then just losing a little bit of pace from then onwards. And I still think they should have released Carlos ahead of his teammates when he was on a set of softs and Leclerc was on a set of mediums. I think they should have allowed him to overtake and just try and defend and challenge with those drivers a little bit further up.
Yeah, and I mean, also Perez managed to get a little bit of confidence back, maybe starting all the way down to 9th. He shouldn't be starting so low, but managed to get onto the podium into 3rd place. So not a bad day out at all for Red Bull as a result of his 3rd place as well. As we expect Max Verstappen to get 1st place these days as well. So Perez, yeah, not a bad day.
Yes, not a bad day. Certainly going to be keeping the Red Bull higher ups happier that he's actually on the podium finally for the first time in a few races. Yeah, he'll be managing expectations at least for once.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting Hungarian Grand Prix, and as he keeps saying to everybody, because everyone always says afterwards, what a boring Grand Prix, because all they focus on is the winner. But we don't notice the fact that we had Perez starting in 9th, finishing in 3rd. We had Russell starting in 18th, finishing in 6th. We had Piastri, who almost managed to get ahead of Verstappen in the opening part of the first lap. He finished in 5th. A great drive for the rookie driver still to finish so far up. Hamilton finished in 4th after starting on the podium, on the pole position rather. The two Ferraris dropped quite low. Alonso and Stroll finishing in 9th and 10th for them, and quite a lot of midfield battles as well. So quite a good Grand Prix I think we had in Hungary today.
Yes, I certainly enjoyed it. It was maybe not as exciting as Silverstone last time out, but still a great Grand Prix weekend. And was good to have so many of you watching alongside with us. Thank you very much for joining us, and do be sure to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, indeed, as Reese says, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Join the family that is Forever Motorsports and Forever Sports. We do love to have chat, and we saw it in the stream today, how great the chat was and how we had so many people engaging with us. It was great to engage with everyone else as well. So, for the future, as we go into more races, and of course, we've got a Grand Prix coming just this weekend, coming now, so we've got a Grand Prix straight away. Be sure to join us for that as well. And we do have a Monday show. Our podcast is every Monday, so tune in again tomorrow afternoon. Me and Reese will
And
go
our race
live.
preview, of course, on
Yes.
Thursday as well.
Yeah, so tune in tomorrow as we're going to go over the race weekend that we've just had, as well as the last week of Formula One. We do a podcast every Monday. Be sure to come and join us for that. We'll read some of the chat, and we'd love to have some of you in that stream as well. Otherwise, from me, Mark, and from Reese as well, of course, you've been watching Forever Motorsports. Just to go over the final points right at the top there. Max Verstappen wins for Red Bull, Norris in 2nd, Perez in 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Piastri 5th, Russell 6th, Leclerc, Sainz 7 and 8, Alonso 9, Stroll 10, Albon in 11th, Bottas in 12th, Ricciardo 13, Hulkenberg 14, Tsunoda 15, Zhou 17, and Magnussen, the last car, running in 17th. The 3 cars out, Sargent 18, Ocon and Gasly 19 and 20 for Alpine. Guys, thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. Today's guide on how to watch the 2023 Formula One season, which kicks off this weekend. The Bahrain Grand Prix will officially get the season underway, and there is just so much action between now and about November when the season will come to an end. Just races all around the world, more sprints, more races, a busier season than ever, and yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see exactly if Red Bull can continue to sort of assert their dominance, if we're going to see Mercedes coming back, what are we going to see? And the question is, how can you watch all the action throughout the season? Now, the first things first is that we will do videos for every single Grand Prix. We will do videos on how to watch that particular Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster. Which means that as long as you subscribe to the channel and you monitor us, you'll be able to sort of find out how to watch every single race on a free-to-air broadcaster. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. Now, to be able to do that, though, however, there are very different broadcasters from around the world. So what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a VPN. I recommend using ExpressVPN because we've tried and tested it and it just works. So what you're going to do, link in the description, get ExpressVPN, get yourself that year subscription as well. If you sign up for a year subscription, you'll actually get an extra 3 months for free, which means you'll be able to start watching from this weekend, and it'll cover you up to about June next year. You're going to install ExpressVPN, and it's going to come up something looking like that. And you think if you click on the right-hand side there, you're then going to get these this pop-up, and those are all the locations of all the various places where you can connect to sort of servers. And what it does, it kind of geolocates your device. So, for example, for Bahrain, there are free-to-air broadcasts in Belgium as well as in Austria. So you connect to those locations and you go to those sites. But if you totally wanted to watch the entire season, my recommendation would be to get F1 TV Pro. Now, it is only available in certain locations, that being the US, the Netherlands, Sweden, I think Spain, Germany. Then you'll need to use ExpressVPN if it's not covered in that region. And again, so what you do is you go on ExpressVPN, you go and select the United States, and then all you do is you turn it on. As soon as this goes green, it means that you are currently connected to a server in the United States. You're then going to go and sign up for F1 TV Pro, which is $45 for the entire year. Alternatively, it is $5 a month, which is really not a lot of money. And you can get so many more things. You can watch onboard footage with individual drivers. You get behind-the-scenes content. It really is the best way to watch Formula One. However, you can only watch it in those regions. And that is where a VPN, like ExpressVPN, will come in clutch and enable you to really sort of get the most out of F1 TV. Check out the description for a sort of step-by-step guide on exactly how you can do it. Apart from that, we'll see you guys throughout the season.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. You're joined by me, Mark, and by Reese as well, who's alongside me here for the weekly F1 podcast. And today's title is the fact that Red Bull are breaking records. Indeed, they are breaking many, many records. After yesterday's win in Hungary for Max Verstappen, we see Red Bull get 12 consecutive wins in a row in F1, the first team ever to do so, taking away the record from Mercedes, of course. And yeah, it was a great day for them out yesterday. And of course, every Monday we have this show. And be sure to come and join us, ask us questions, let us know your thoughts on the last week of F1 that we've had. And otherwise, yeah, we'll just go over general news in F1. And of course, we're going to be going over a little bit of the weekend that just occurred for us. Reese, how are we doing?
Yes, I'm very well, thanks. And yourself, finally rested up after what was a very long weekend. I do hope, though, that you titled this video "It's Broken," because, of course, Red Bull have broken their records, but Lando Norris also managed to break their record-winning trophy yesterday on the podium. He managed to smack a champagne bottle, as we often see in his podium celebrations, and that knocked Max Verstappen's porcelain Hungarian Grand Prix winning trophy on the ground, and it smashed into pieces, and it's estimated that it's worth about 40,000 euros.
Yeah, I know.
So
quite a
that's
costly
not a cheap
expense.
mistake.
No,
Yes.
yeah. And for all that money you can supposedly replace it, it's not quite the sentimental value. It takes a while for this trophy to be made. So a bit of a
Yes, about 4 to 6 months indeed
Yeah.
for that trophy to be made by the artist.
So quite a stuff up there from Norris. But let's just go very quickly, of course, to that recent news, which is the fact that Hungary Grand Prix was over the weekend. And yeah, so Max Verstappen passed Lewis Hamilton to deliver Red Bull their record 12th consecutive win. And Hamilton finished in 4th and was so close to actually taking Perez. If he just had an extra lap, I think he probably would have started to compete with him right there at the top, but not to be. So Hamilton only finished in 4th.
We're currently also sitting on some really interesting stats. Max Verstappen is looking for his 44th win, and Lewis Hamilton has not won in 53 races. So some very interesting stats at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Obviously with their race numbers.
Yeah. So yeah, just going through an article here, just basing off of yesterday's Grand Prix. Verstappen got an excellent start from P2 on the grid to draw alongside the pole-sitting Hamilton and claim the lead going into turn 1. Lando Norris claimed another second place for McLaren, whilst Sergio Perez pulled off a number of aggressive overtakes in the other Red Bull to finish 3rd after starting in 9th. Perez had to hold off a charging Hamilton in the closing stages as the Mercedes finally came alive again on lower fuel, but the 7-time world champion had to settle for 4th on a difficult afternoon where he lost 3 positions on the opening lap. Oscar Piastri was 5th with his and Norris's results helping McLaren strengthen their grip on P5 in the Constructors' Championship after Alpine suffered another double DNF after Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon collided as a result of some first corner pinball on the opening lap. George Russell made an excellent recovery from 18th on the grid to finish 6th, promoted a position after Charles Leclerc dropped a place to 7th due to a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Carlos Sainz was unable to progress after a brilliant start had lifted him from P11 to P6 and finished 8th in the second Ferrari ahead of the 2 Aston Martins as Fernando Alonso led home Lance Stroll. Daniel Ricciardo recovered from opening lap contact to finish 13th in his first race for AlphaTauri, 2 places ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. So lots of very interesting things happened over the weekend. And Reese, let's just go very quickly over the race. How was the race weekend, do you think?
Yes, well, I thought it was a very interesting race weekend, of course, off the back of Silverstone, where we've heard that there's been some new tyre compounds that Pirelli have been bringing in, which don't necessarily suit the Red Bulls anymore. I mean, we see that in qualifying, that they have just fallen back a little bit, possibly due to this new tyre compound. Nonetheless, they were able to take the win yet again with their biggest ever gap to their competitors. I think it was close to 40 seconds in the end there, Mark. But once again, dominance out on track. Good day for the McLarens, of course, with Lando Norris finishing in P2, Oscar in P5. I was a bit disappointed to have seen Oscar fall off the podium yet again, but there was some stronger cars coming up through the midfield. So, I mean, we had Lewis Hamilton on a bit of a shocking start, unfortunately, and he fell back to P4. Yeah, but then once again, just I don't think their car is as competitive as they're hoping. It's getting there. It's certainly showing its pace in qualifying, but still lacking a little bit of race pace. There were quite a few winners and losers though from the race, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main losers I'm going to go straight to is that of Zhou Guanyu, who
Yes,
had
I was going to say major loser, unfortunately.
yeah, as I say, he had a brilliant qualifying session on Saturday where he came and put himself all the way up into fifth. I mean, both Alfa Romeos making Q3 was great for that team. They're hoping they'll going to get some points this weekend, but not to be. Zhou stalled on the start, and his entire day just went from hero to zero as quickly as possible, and he finished the race all the way down in 16th position after being lapped as well by those leaders. So a terrible day for him. And in an interview, he said the elation from yesterday's result, this of course being Saturday, turned on its head, and there is no denying that today, being yesterday, has been very disappointing. We are yet to gather all the information about exactly what went on at the start. I went on full throttle, then all of a sudden something went wrong, and I had to do the entire procedure again just in order to do a proper start. So a terrible start for Zhou Guanyu there. And not only that, he once he did manage to get the car going, he had to go and
he didn't keep it clean.
yeah, he had to keep it clean, which he did not do. He went straight into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, who went into Esteban Ocon, who went into Gasly, and resulted in Alpine's removal from the race. So he really did have quite an eventful first lap.
I mean, it's in races like this where I start to agree with people calling for people who cause a crash, for that team to have to pay for all of the costs that come in due to that. Because I mean, in a cost cap era, this will cost a fortune for Alpine to go all the way to Hungary, race both their cars, and not even get more than 3 laps into a race. It's just mind blowing, really.
Yeah, indeed. And we move on, though, to another winner of the weekend, that being Sergio Perez in that Red Bull. He managed to start in 9th and finished 3rd, had some great overtakes there. He almost came under pressure from Hamilton at the end there, but seemingly did well. And it just unfortunately frustrates you because you think, what would have happened if he had started where he should have been, near around the top 3 cars, of course, on the grid. So if he had managed to start there, he might have tried to challenge Verstappen for that race win, but not to be. Started in 9th, but at least got himself onto the podium. Perez had this to say. He said, the track was unbelievably dirty offline, so in the last laps I had some pickup going through the back markers, which meant I lost a few seconds. I recovered towards the end, but it was just too late. That, of course, him trying to get to that 2nd position ahead of Norris before then coming under pressure from Hamilton behind him.
Yes, it was a bit of a difficult day out there for Sergio Perez, but nonetheless, still showing that he does have that pace in that sister Red Bull car, something we've been waiting to see for quite some time. He's been off the pace in qualifying, still was off the pace in qualifying this weekend, but is still showing some good race pace at least.
Yeah, and now we move to a loser of the weekend, and that major loser again is Alpine. And we've gone over what happened to Alpine, but that's 2 races in a row now that they have DNF'd both cars. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes, it certainly is unbelievable. I mean, we don't expect to see both cars in the team getting out in pretty much the first corner. It's really bad luck for them, of course. And as I said, it's going to have cost them an absolute fortune to have brought both of those cars racing and not even to get halfway through the race.
Yeah, so a terrible day for Alpine, and they really want to try and nail it this weekend in Belgium. Because before the break, they really want to try and finish a race, I think, at this point. Lando Norris was a winner, of course. He came 2nd, I suppose. But a great race day for him. You know, he was never really going to compete with Max Verstappen in that Red Bull, but managed to beat the entire rest of the grid, including his teammate, who did come out ahead of a little bit in that pit stop right near the beginning of the race, resulting in him overtaking his teammate, and Oscar Piastri fell as a result as well. But Norris himself managed to win. Managed to be a winner of the day, coming 2nd for McLaren. A great race for him, though he did break Max Verstappen's trophy. But I mean, a great race for him.
Yes. Yes, it was a great race for him, despite the fact that he did break a €40,000 trophy. I think he's going to be quite happy with his performance. 2 podiums in a row. I think now that he has tasted the champagne yet again, he kind of knows that it's possible with this car. They downplayed their possible performance for this weekend. I was saying from the beginning that they did have the pace to do well here. I think they're going to be quite rapid out in Spa.
And a team that was
Mix
dubbed
of-
to have, yeah, so a team that was dubbed to
Sorry.
have had sorry, you threw me off there. It's just a team that was dubbed to have had a bit of pace this weekend, but turned not to be and was a loser of the weekend was Aston Martin. Yeah, Alonso had this to say about his weekend and with Aston Martin. He said, "We were not quick enough to challenge anyone in front. We didn't have any threats from behind. So 3 points, 9th and 10th was the maximum today." Yeah, not looking good for Aston Martin, who started the season so well. And we're thinking Alonso could try and do something, but just not seemingly going well. They've got lots of work to do in that break, I think, coming up.
Yes, I'd certainly think they're going to have to work on a few upgrades for that car because they are just falling off the pace a bit. I mean, I did say though that with these new tires that Pirelli brought from Silverstone, the biggest losers on those sets of tires is that Aston Martins, and I'm quite disappointed to see that, of course, because they've been having a brilliant season so far, and they have just started falling away in the past few races. Hopefully, they can just get to the bottom of it in the winter break. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some improvements from the next race out in Spa as well. Not very long until we do get racing in Spa. I think that is one of my favorite tracks of the season, and it's going to be quite an exciting race.
Yeah, Spa is coming up this weekend. You can catch it here on Forever Motorsports with me and Reese. We'll be doing it yet again. We had a great weekend this last weekend out in Hungary. Let's hopefully have a great weekend coming up as well in Belgium. So we move on to some other news, and that's still with Red Bull and the fact that there's been some revelations and some understandings released in the last week with regards to cost caps being breached in the 2022 season. And there's 3 major teams that are going to be announced before the break. So that's going to be sometime during this week that they're going to be announcing what's going to happen there. And that's to do with breaking the budget cap for 2022. Though Christian Horner says the team was several million below the F1 cost cap in 2022. So yeah, it's all up in the air because the 3 rumored teams to have breached that cost cap were Red Bull, Aston Martin, and I do believe the third one was McLaren?
McLaren or Mercedes,
Yeah.
there's a few, well, unknowns still at this point. They are saying we might find out before the summer break or during the summer break. I certainly hope we find out sooner than that. Already, Christian Horner, though, going on the defensive, saying his team was multiple million under that cost cap. I'm sure he'll be hoping so because they don't want to get another penalty like they have had this year.
Indeed, and he went and on an interview and was talking about all of the budget caps for 2022. Of course, the cap for 2022 was $140 million. And of course, the cap is going a little bit down each year. But he said this. He said last year, Max Verstappen damaged one front wing, and Checo had a crash in Montreal. And again, we had a very limited amount of development on the car. So we were several million below the cap last year, and because accident damage and development, they're huge costs, and they had very few of them, of course. He said, obviously this year the biggest handicap we have is the lack of wind tunnel time. It's significantly less runs in a week than any of our competitors, so we have to be very disciplined on where we focus our development. And then also asked about his thoughts, who people think Red Bull haven't been punished enough this year after breaching the cost cap in 2021. Horner answered this: "Believe me, the lack of wind tunnel time we have compared to our competitors is a massive compromise. If wind tunnels don't count, why don't we get rid of them?" He says, "It's easy to throw shade when you're not performing. It's one of the things that in F1 that will always continue to happen. I'm just incredibly proud of the job that our team is doing with the constraints and handicap we have to be performing at the level we have this year." So yeah, Christian Horner, very defensive, saying it's absolutely not Red Bull, and saying we have no issues here. So trying to, I think, kill the story before it starts, but yeah, still up in the air. They still reckon Red Bull might have been one of those teams.
Yes, I mean they'll certainly be, as they were last year, quick to try and squash those rumors. Hopefully, for them at least, it isn't them that has breached those cost cap. The FIA also being quite quick to try and squash those rumors before they make an official press release. They did the same though last year, so there's no hiding it really. When there's smoke, there's normally fire in Formula One. So we do expect to at least see 2 to 3 teams breaching that cost cap. Hopefully, we will hear quite soon from the FIA.
Yeah, and Wolf has also been speaking to the media with regards to the cost cap, and he says we need to stop any breach of the cost cap. And Toto Wolff, in an interview, said this: "They came back with tons of questions to lots of teams, and that shows how robust the process is, which is good." This is, of course, talking about communicating with teams about their submissions. He said, "Strong auditors are beneficial for F1. We need to stop any kind of unintentional or intentional breach of the cost cap. It's like technical and sporting regulations. The big teams have thousands of people and various projects, commercial and non-commercial. For us, it's a bit easier because we have everything in one entity. The employees are all in one place, and you can see where they have been attributed. It becomes more complex when you have more variety of subsidiaries. I've never been shy of saying that, saying with the 2026 regulations, we should get rid of that overall, with regards to budget caps and otherwise. In the real world, it's quite a challenge because we are making revenue and money with our engineering projects. That means we cannot assign a person who is working in F1, not even for a minute, into non-F1. But I think it's the right thing to do for the sport to say this is F1 and this is not F1 with regards to separating the different stuff. And the moment someone spends 10 seconds on an F1 project, you should be fully in F1. That's the way we need to go. So being very, very adamant on holding on to the cost cap regulations and being stringent in that regard for most teams. So surely Mercedes, if they do live by that, aren't one of the teams that's breached the cost cap.
Yes, just reading the FIA's response though to that cost cap breach, fake news pretty much, because they haven't even finished or concluded their findings. In their response, they said, "We'd like to reiterate the ongoing process preceding financial regulation certification for the teams, none of which have been informed of their certification status." So none of the teams even know if they have broken the cost cap just yet. The auditing fieldwork is still ongoing and is scheduled to conclude in the upcoming weeks, after which there will be a period required for the finalization of the review. So still some time needed to even come to an actual conclusion over all of the reviews of the 2022 cost cap. So I think it is just fake news at this point.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with regards to that, and we'll see whether or not teams did breach that cost cap. But if they did, of course, we're going to see similar sort of penalties that we saw on Red Bull for this season. We'll see that in the 2024 season, which is, of course, next year. But we've still got a few races before then, so nobody's really going to take too many hits for the remainder of the season. But we pretty much know Red Bull's going to win the Constructors' Championship. So it's all about who comes second at this point in time. Now, moving on to the rest of the season, there's something else interesting that we can talk about. And it's, I suppose, something we don't think about and that we have to think about now that we're in Las Vegas this year. The circuit in Las Vegas, of course, goes right down all of the famous landmarks and right down the strip, going past many, many tall high-rise buildings, hotels, and otherwise. And I've got an article here from crash.net, which goes and says F1 threatens obstructions and barricades unless Las Vegas hotels pay to view the Grand Prix. So with all these hotels being within viewing distance of the Grand Prix, a lot of people might well just book a hotel room that's got a window looking out to the track and say, you know what, that's me watching Formula One. It's a great seat in the house. I'm here watching it.
People do the same thing in Monaco, but I don't understand why they'd want to block that. How are you going to set up a barricade high enough to block the high rises in Las Vegas? It's certainly not going to work.
Well, you know what they might do? They might ask and request and demand that all of the hotels go and put screens on the windows. Maybe they have to stop anybody from looking outside through their windows. So
Gosh, I don't think you can do that. I think that's a bit too far in terms of legality. I think the hotels would certainly have a foot to stand on in terms of that. I mean, it's their property. They don't have to block windows, surely, for people racing on the streets.
But yeah, in this article here, it says a new row has been kicked off in Formula One ahead of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The Vegas hotel and casino owners are claiming their views of the circuit will be intentionally blocked by F1 unless they agree to pay massive sums of money for the license to watch it, the New York Post has reported. The Vegas Grand Prix is set for November 18th and is perhaps the standout date on the 2023 F1 calendar. Venues in Vegas that overlook the circuit will be charged $1,500 per person or face obstructions like barricades, stands, and light stanchions blocking their views, the report states. They are literally shaking people down, saying they will obstruct views unless they pay them, an anonymous casino owner was quoted. It seems insane that they are asking money for a public event that is taking place in the streets. A different source was quoted, there is a real chance of obstructing views with stands and barricades. I know the hotels are upset about it, and they are trying to figure out if they'll play along. Of course, I'm sure there's a little bit of clickbait, but, it could be interesting if that actually is the case.
Coming from an events background like I do, I mean, these things are normally planned well in advance, especially the placement of grandstands. So you would think that it's not something that they could put strategically to block the hotels. I don't know if there's much truth to the story, but if it is true, that is a bit opportunistic from those Formula One organizers who are, of course, possibly organizing this race in Vegas. I don't think it has much to do from actual Formula One group. Maybe it's more organizers of the Vegas race.
Indeed. And we're going towards closing out the F1 podcast for the week. Reese, what other news have you been seeing for the last week here?
Well, a interesting article from News 24, a local South African newspaper here, is just saying McLaren must be prepared to thwart off poachers as Lando Norris's Formula One stock rises. It's a very good title for sure, because Lando Norris is becoming quite a bit of hot commodity in the Formula One driver market. A lot of teams supposedly penning him down for a pre-season or a pre-contract with them. Rumors of him being in a pre-contract with Red Bull, with Ferrari. Of course, it's all rumors at this point, but I think there is going to be quite a lot of interest in signing him to a good performing team. Of course, McLaren are starting to show some great pace out on track, so he'll be happy with where he is at the moment. But say if the likes of a Mercedes or a Red Bull jump at giving him an offer, what would you do if you were in Lando Norris's shoes?
Well, I think the thing is right now that he's got McLaren's team seems to have improved dramatically, and he's in a very competitive car right now. I mean,
it says here, Zach Brown in response to how to keep Lando Norris at McLaren, he said, I think the way you keep Norris is you give him a good race car. He loves the team, he believes in the team, and he was a bit frustrated at the start of the season, as we all were, of course. But now he's finished second for the second time. As long as we keep doing that, I think he'll stick around.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
I think it's true.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So if McLaren can maintain and continue to be a competitive team on the track, then Lando Norris doesn't really need to go anywhere. He can be the poster boy, especially considering the likelihood of him going to Red Bull is very unlikely. He likes to think of himself as a number one driver. Going to Red Bull, you've got Max Verstappen there. It's unlikely that you're going to be favoured over him, so it's going to be quite difficult there. You might get a situation with a lot of infighting. Red Bull might not see a point in that. But if you should move to any other team, you're thinking, why? Because Ferrari are certainly worse off than McLaren at the moment. McLaren's car clearly quicker than the Ferrari in the last couple of Grand Prix. Ferrari absolutely nowhere for the last couple of seasons. So Ferrari's not a team that he'd be considering. Mercedes have got two very strong drivers that don't look like they're going to be replaced anytime soon. Lewis Hamilton rumored to have accepted a 2-year extension to his contract. So, I don't see Lando Norris leaving McLaren.
No, certainly he looks quite comfortable there for the time being. I wouldn't expect him to run away from there all just yet, as they are seeming to ramp up a little bit more in terms of their pace.
And any other news you've got for the last week here?
I'm just looking for something on Ferrari. I think we should just speak about them maybe for a little bit. We haven't spoken about
I can tell you about what I think.
A very disappointing race yesterday, of course. I'm still so confused as to why they did not swap Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in the beginning stages. Yes, Carlos Sainz was on a set of softs, running a completely different race to Charles Leclerc running on a mediums for his first stint. Yeah, I think it was just a bit of a farce from Ferrari really yesterday. They could have possibly competed for that third step on the podium.
And their strategy as well. I mean, their pit stops were oddly placed yesterday compared to everybody else. They weren't quite matching everybody. They took a little bit longer to get into the pits. Sainz took way too long to get into the pits. We said that at the time. We said this is a bit of a waste to come into the pits so late. And then Leclerc also had a mare of a pit stop. His first pit stop was a 9.4 second pit stop. Terrible. Which basically ruined his race as well.
To get off the rear left, if I remember correctly. I mean, Ferrari, come on, please.
I
We
know.
just want to see some closer racing, guys. We don't want to see you making stupid strategic issues for your drivers. And I mean, I think we heard Charles Leclerc getting super frustrated once again with his pit wall because they're just making bad decisions.
Yeah, and I suppose, we talk about Lando Norris possibly moving on to places, and we're thinking actually genuinely it's unlikely because McLaren seem to be doing things right at the moment. But Charles Leclerc must surely be thinking, why am I staying at Ferrari at this point in time?
Yes, I mean, he is still a young racing driver in the prime of his career. Of course, he still has a lot to learn. And I think last season proved that at the fact that he isn't as consistent over the entire race season when you are fighting for a championship. And we did see those crashes and mistakes from him. But that's what you get from a young racing driver who's still learning how to fight for championships. I mean, he's done it in the other formulas, but Formula One is a completely different game. We want to see him getting more opportunities to fight for a championship, though, not getting sent to the therapist by Ferrari.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I mean, Ferrari just need to sort their rubbish out. They really do. It's shocking. It's not good enough. They're a team that certainly has the backing from most of the world to do well, and they're just not doing well. I just certainly hope they fix things before next season because I want to see a competitive season next season. We keep saying this, but surely 2024 will be better for everyone, including that of Ferrari.
Yes, and I think we have both just been banned from Maranello, Mark. So I don't think I'm going to be able to go back there again, unfortunately.
No, I haven't.
I think they're going to have a poster of me on their front wall saying, "Do not let this man in."
I doubt it very much. We love Ferrari. We just want them to do better, of course. They've been useless, just be better. That's what we want to see. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into the F1 podcast for this week. You've been joined by me and Reese, of course. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the future videos, and turn on notifications so you can see all future uploads on the channel. You've been watching Forever Motorsports. Red Bull, of course, breaking that record, 12 wins in a row now. Can they do it in Spa, in Belgium? Join us on Thursday as we preview it, of course. And guys, have a great week further. We'll bring you news as we see it otherwise. But we'll see you this weekend for the Grand Prix in Belgium.
Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for today's How to Watch guide for the Belgium GP. A Spa this weekend and a bit of a break after this weekend for a couple of weeks. So a very exciting time to really sort of get into the F1 season. We saw a very interesting last few weeks. The McLarens all of a sudden seem to have sorted themselves. Mercedes being a bit more competitive. The Ferrari have made a couple of changes within their structures. So it should be quite an interesting weekend. And the big question that everybody is here to ask is how can I watch it? Right, the good news is that every single Formula One is shown on 2 free-to-air broadcasters. The first, which I'm going to show you, is Service TV, which is available for free in Austria. And the second is RTB, which is RTBF, rather, which is available in Belgium. Now, it means if you are in those locations, you can watch for free on those sites. However, if you are not in those locations, you can still access them, but you're going to have to use something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. Now, we recommend using Bitdefender, which is, first of all, are one of the leaders in internet security and cyber security in the world. They also have a very safe, secure, and functional VPN called Bitdefender VPN, funny enough. Now, the link is in the description. Go and download it. Go and get your Bitdefender subscription. It's incredibly affordable. And what you're going to do is you're going to open it up, and it's going to look something like this. And you're going to go to your location over here, and you're going to click Austria, and as you can see, we are currently connected. Now, because we are currently connected, I can show you that we are currently watching Service TV. This is live TV as it goes. And I can put the sound in there. So you should be able to hear the sound stuff, and it's working. That is as easy as it is. It will be live for all the sessions this weekend, so it's that easy. All you have to do is get yourself Bitdefender, go and connect to an Austria server, and log into service on TV, and you can watch it all live and in HD. It is literally as easy as that. You can also use ExpressVPN, also link in the description. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Apart from that, come and join us over the weekend for our watch-alongs with Mark and Reece. Should be another absolutely cracking Formula One weekend, and hopefully someone can start trying to stop the Max Verstappen dominance as the other teams do start to catch up a little bit. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel on the way out. And we will see you guys this weekend.
Because he saw this, he saw the difference in times, and that's he was like, you know what? I'm
Mate,
gonna
this was set well before I even started practicing. It's gonna be fine, lads. We're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna love it. It's gonna be good. No, it'll be
Is
fine.
everyone here?
Yep.
Okay.
We relax. Be good. Formation lap, people.
Lap even.
Formation lap. Okay.
Oh, I was like getting ready for.
I was waiting for Reese to get going. Yeah.
I was trying to see.
Oh!
Are you crashing in the formation lap? Ryan, you're gonna. Yeah, I was about to say both of you. You're gonna be axed from it.
What
Oh
happened now?
no!
You got axed because you crashed in the formation.
It's actually very helpful in the rain to feel what it's going to be.
But I didn't fucking crash.
If you even touch someone else, you'll get taken
Yeah,
out.
you'll get
So
taken out.
does that include if someone touches you?
Correct.
Yeah, they're very strict.
Yeah, I know.
I was practicing my start.
Yeah, taking him out.
Oh shit!
Well,
Now the
this is-
tires are gonna get cold.
Mark,
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
I'm
Cheers.
warning you. I brake very late.
Late braking's fine. It's you when you
Oh,
start
sorry,
doing your
I
early
braked very-
braking.
Sorry, early. I meant early.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yes. Ryan, I break early as well.
Mark, I have no ABS.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I have to do cadence braking. It's not that easy.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Back yourself.
Easy. No.
In the formation lap. I'm coming in for the rise.
I can't believe we have to do the whole tire changing thing again. That was a disaster for me last time. Well, I'm pretty sure did close to that. Yeah.
And problem is, also Ryan and Young who managed to touch each other on the formation lap. It's a long formation lap, eh? So you're just chilling there like cool, like when are you
They're
guys
all
getting
waiting
back?
on the line.
We're ready to go.
This thing just turns off the racing line. in
I was
the
about to say,
last corner.
I was about to cross you. It's straight to the wall.
Whoa!
I just suddenly see Reese like,
Sorry.
like, where the hell are you going? Well, Reese, you gotta get ahead of me here.
Oaks,
I'm
Oaks,
trying.
Oaks, Oaks. No, if I stop, I'm gonna stop in someone else's pit.
Oh no, come on. I'm parked so far off the.
Yeah, you did. You like. Mind you, how much? Not that different from me.
Chase got disqualified. What?
Are you properly disqualified, James?
But are you still in? Because it just said you're disqualified from the session.
Maybe he just got flopped in like
Yeah,
us.
they-
I think
they
disqualified
put them
in maybe the formation lap session. You still in, James? Good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. You're joined by me, Mark, and of course, Reese, who is to my left. And yeah, we are here previewing the Belgium Grand Prix. This is the last Grand Prix before the break, the 3-week break that is in August. So it's the last Grand Prix of the first half of the season. I know we've had more than half the races, but now we get into the break, and then we get into silly season as well. But as I said, one more Grand Prix to go, and it is my favorite track. I know it's one of Reese's favorites. I'm not sure if he said it was his absolute favorite, but it certainly is my favorite. That is Spa in Belgium here, and you know, of course, very, very, very famous turn there in the corner, Rouge. Of course, everybody knows it very, very well, and cannot wait to see all the cars, the new spec cars in 2023, going down that and going around the circuit. It's a long, long track. And it's certainly going to be a very interesting Grand Prix. Now, last week we had, obviously, the Grand Prix in Hungary. And Max Verstappen wiped the floor with that. But McLaren's are still looking strong. So, Reese, what could we expect this weekend from the entire board? And what are we looking forward to in terms of this weekend's Grand Prix?
Well, it should be a very exciting Grand Prix weekend. We've already seen some leaks of upgrades being brought to this race weekend. Mercedes have brought a circuit-specific rear wing, which is meant to bring a highest top speed. I doubt that's going to get used, though, with all of the rain that's been predicted this weekend. We will talk a bit about that a bit further on. But, I mean, they've also brought new side pod inlets, so a lot of talking points about those upgrades from Mercedes. I think the McLarens are going to be fast, as well as the Red Bulls are just going to be, once again, on form.
Yeah, and I think the Red Bull upgrades last weekend certainly did work. I mean, Max Verstappen suddenly got that winning margin right back up to massive gaps again, and he was just in a different level. And also Perez, starting in 9th, managed to get up all the way up into it was a 3rd position, it was 4th position, sorry, third. It was third. Yeah, he wasn't the podium.
Yeah.
I don't know why I doubted myself, but yeah, 3rd position. So you know, Red Bull just looking as quick as ever. So it's in Belgium this weekend. So Formula One is heading to Spa. So some stats, Reese. You got some stats there for us.
Yes, I do have some stats for you. The first Grand Prix that was held here was in 1950. So this circuit has been on the Formula One calendar for quite some time. The track length is 7.004 kilometers. It is currently our longest track on the Formula One calendar, with the lap record being a 1 minute 46.2 set by Valtteri Bottas in 2018. The most pole positions here is held by Lewis Hamilton with 6. Most wins is also 6 by Michael Schumacher, though. And then pole position, the pole run to turn 1's breaking point is 165 meters. So that is how far you have to drive from that pole position at the start of a race. So it's still quite a long run to get to that first corner, and of course, being such a long circuit, it's a very difficult first lap.
And more to the point as well, my favorite part of the track is certainly I mean, funny enough, of course, there's a Rouge, which is very famous to watch, but it's not my favorite part of the track. The best part is actually the last few corners.
Final sector.
You just see that final sector is absolute, just pedal to the metal and just go for it, and it's just long winding turns. It's a long left-hander followed by another long right-hander into that very, very sharp then braking point right at the end before starting the lap again. And it's my favorite part of the track. You see overtakes happen there all the time as well.
It's a very old school track, very akin to the Tilke tracks. I don't know if it is a Tilke design track. It very well may be, but it's all about rhythm and flow, and finding good rhythm and flow helps you to get a good lap time around here.
And of course, this is the famous circuit that we've had that commentary as well. It says, but here comes Sebastian Vettel. That was, of course, here in this circuit. So could we have similar sort of things for, not Vettel, of course, at that time he was driving for Ferrari. Could we have similar things for those in Ferrari with Charles Leclerc? Because before we go on into, you know, all the Ferrari news, we'll continue with just a couple of more stats on the track. But, you know, we do have big Ferrari news, and the fact that they've fired their team, the race director, and they've got a new one for this weekend. So that's big news in Ferrari. So could Charles Leclerc be the new commentary spectacle this weekend? Could Ferrari maybe do something very quickly before we continue with the stats?
Well, I don't know. They could make some good opportunities here this weekend with all of the bad weather that has been predicted. We've seen their car isn't necessarily too bad in the wet, so hopefully they are able to do all right from that standpoint. But Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you touched on it, Mark, but there have been some shakeups in the Ferrari factory this past week. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens behind the scenes at Ferrari.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, let's just go actually straight to Ferrari. The fact that, yeah, Ferrari have appointed a new F1 sporting director as Mekis has departed the Formula One team there. Laurent Mekis has officially left his role at the Scuderia ahead of his move to become AlphaTauri's team principal in 2024. So that in itself is big news there. But Ferrari almost feel like it's actually a bit of an advantage. They've almost like hopefully improved because let's be honest, nothing in that Ferrari setup is working very, very well. So I suppose having new personnel come in and have some fresh ideas can't be the worst thing.
No, I think it's good to get some fresh blood in there. Of course, you want to have someone with experience, so hopefully they do. I think they're just taking from down the line in their actual garage, aren't they, Mark, to replace Mekis. I don't think they're hiring a new hire, but yeah, they've got so many people in their mechanics pool and their engineers pool that they just have so many people with experience to call on, and hopefully those people are able to step things up for Ferrari.
Yeah, so we're hearing from the Scuderia that the following changes have been made within team structure for this weekend. So, Ferrari explained that Mekis' sporting director role will be taken up by Diego Laverno, a respected Ferrari veteran of 23 years. He says, as from, I think this is Fred, this is just going and seeing who's being quoted here. It is, yeah. Ferrari, this is just a Ferrari spokesperson. Just says, as for the Belgium Grand Prix, part of Lawrence's duties on the pit wall will be carried out by Diego Laverno, who takes on the role of sporting director. He will be responsible for all sporting matters, as well as liaising with the FIA. Along with his colleagues on the pit wall, Matteo Tognanelli, head of track engineering, and Ravin Jean, race strategist, he will report directly to team principal Fred Vasseur. So, yeah, big changes there in Ferrari with regards to the running of the race weekend, and it's going to be a big test for them in Spa. They've been very disappointed these past few weekends. Could they turn it around a little bit this weekend?
Well, I certainly hope so. It's been, as you say, quite disappointing over the last few race weekends. They seem to be finding pace in the first half of the season. Not starting too great, but as I said, finding a bit more pace in the middle of the first half, and then just falling off again. So, yeah, I'm hoping they're able to pick up the pieces a bit, yeah.
And another team, of course, who's fallen off, and I've got an article up here from motorsport.com, is that of Aston Martin. Now, they're still third in the Constructors' Championships, just by the way. I mean, it's still incredible to see the fact that it's still right up there, but certainly coming under huge pressure now because McLaren are just going to keep climbing that table quicker and quicker and quicker. So, currently in the points table goes Red Bull first, Mercedes second, and then Aston Martin third. Ferrari is behind Aston Martin, but Aston Martin are dropping so quickly. So what has happened to the green machine? And here, just reading the article, it says, for an outfit that finished 7th in the standings last term, it emerged as a surprise package, the team closest to troubling Red Bull, that being Aston Martin. But in the 5 Grand Prix since Aston Martin driver has only once more classified in the top 3, Alonso's second place in Canada disrupts a run of 2 7ths, a 9th and a 5th place finish in his side of the garage. So really not great finishes for Aston Martin these past few Grand Prix. And having led Mercedes in the points up until Spain, the Silverstone-based squad had fallen 39 points behind the Silver Arrows to third, albeit a lack of pace plus questionable strategy and pit stop execution from Ferrari has relieved the pressure from behind them. Nonetheless, compared to last season, Aston is exceeding expectations, but compared to the first half of the season, really struggling now. So, the Hungarian Grand Prix last weekend was anticipated both externally and internally to have arrested any results decline. A low-speed circuit nature was expected to have suited the AMR 23's strong downforce and mechanical grip, whilst mitigating its straight-line efficiency deficiencies. However, Alonso led Lance Stroll for a muted 9th and 10th finish. And Alonso said in Silverstone that the team needed to make it to the summer break before resetting. In Budapest, he added that Aston was now only 5th fastest overall. So just saying that this car desperately needs upgrades, Reese.
Yes, and I think I saw an article saying that they are trying to bring upgrades for Zandvoort, which of course is the next race after the summer break. So hopefully Aston Martin are able to expedite those upgrades and find some more pace in that car, because they really are just falling behind now.
Yeah.
And McLaren are going to pick up the pieces if they don't sort things out.
Yeah, exactly. McLaren is hunting down not just Aston Martin, but Ferrari as well, and maybe even Mercedes if they're not careful. Still enough races left for that to happen. So Alonso, though, the two-time champion, noted, he said, it's hard for us, being Aston Martin, to understand a little bit better what the car is doing now compared to the beginning of the season. How many upgrades we brought compared to our main competitors, and then understanding the new tyres the best. They're the same for everybody, so we just need to do a better job. His bosses are far from panicking, though. They also reject his suggestion that the more robust Pirelli tyre construction introduced for the British Grand Prix has particularly hurt Aston and Red Bull. Performance director Tom McCulloch confirms there are no big changes in performance. However, everybody else seems to have increased their performance, so I think that is the little bit of the concern there. They will reset, they said, during the break. So it's just about where they will finish this weekend. Quickly, Reese, where do you reckon Aston Martin will finish this weekend?
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't want to say they're going to finish up too high because they historically in the past few races have not been. So I'm going to say they'll be in the top 10, but not in the top 5. So maybe 6th and 7th.
That's quite high, to be fair, because I mean that's going to have
Yeah.
2 Red Bulls. Let's just say 1, 2. I'm not necessarily this order, but teams that are supposedly better than Aston Martin. While you're saying Red Bull 1, 2, McLaren 3, 4, Mercedes 5, 6, Ferrari 7, 8. You know, Aston Martin, if they manage to finish ahead of a Ferrari and or a McLaren / Mercedes, I suppose it's not
I
too
think
bad.
there'll be a big crash or two here. So I think some of the top 5 are going to get taken off this weekend. I'm just making a wild call. It is Spa and it's in the wet. So
yeah, I mean it is
and
Spa
I mean
in the wet.
it's Fernando Alonso in the wet as well. So
Yeah, it's a very
can't
very
count
good
him out
point.
too. So maybe he might be top 5.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you know, we were going to go and go to talk about that next, and we'll just segue straight into that. So the weather this weekend is looking very, very wet in Belgium. We're talking rain every day, pretty much every session. So it's going to be a very, very wet weekend. Wet weather running in Spa. It's going to be, you know, it's quite dangerous to drive. We know this is quite a dangerous track.
Yeah, very.
It's a very, very quick track, so had pace and add skiddiness. It's a recipe for a bit of a disaster. But, you know, Max Verstappen in his Red Bull car has not had a single instant, really, the entire season. You know, he's finished every race very, very high up, got unbelievable points for himself. I mean, will he finish the first half of the season before the break without having a single instant in track?
Sorry, were you talking about Max?
Yes.
Well, I think he's been very cautious and rightfully so. He's wanting to break all these records and he has been breaking quite a few already. He's got 12 wins in a row with Red Bull, the longest winning streak that anyone has had. I think he'll be wanting to carry that on. He's got 7 in a row at the moment for himself. We see how he's very cautious into turn 1 usually and off his start. So I think he'll be fine. Yeah, I think people are also quite cautious around him. I think it's more the midfield and some of the other drivers a little bit further back than him that just take some extra chances.
And, you know, it's the chances we talk about taking here, and it's going to be in the wet, so we're going to see intermediate tires and wet tires, and it's going to be decisions with regards to that. You know, cars might find themselves in the wall, and that's why we also see the safety car probability for this weekend. It normally sits at 63% anyway, which is really, really high. Which, you know, it's very, very likely you have a safety car here in Spa. Now, with added weather, that's going to be even higher. And if those safety cars should happen right near the end of the race, that really does put a little bit of pressure on Max Verstappen and that Red Bull in terms of just trying to make sure he goes out and wins yet another Grand Prix. Because, of course, Red Bull have won every single Grand Prix this season.
I'm glad you spoke about the safety car, Mark, because I have stats on that for you.
Go for it.
So the safety car probability around the circuit, what do you think it is?
That's what I just said. It's 63%.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know you had it in front of you. Well, virtual safety car probability here is 25%. So, I mean, even if we don't have a full safety car, there's still quite a high percent chance of having a virtual safety car, especially in the rain. If there's any debris that needs to be picked up, it's going to be quite difficult to recover that. So you're going to need a virtual safety car or even sometimes a full safety car.
Yeah, and Max Verstappen has only ever got poled here once, and that was in 2021. So Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari in 2022, he got pole last year. So it sort of leans towards maybe Ferrari, maybe Carlos Sainz suits this track, but again, it's in the wet. It's going to be very, very difficult to actually understand who's going to finish where. Max Verstappen, though, has gone on to win.
I know it does. I know it does suit three drivers down the grid. That's Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso. They are all great wet weather drivers. I would say, of course, Vettel if he was still in Formula One, but of course he's retired. But I think we'll be seeing some. Maybe Oscar Piastri might be very good in the wet. He's shown that he is a great qualifier. Maybe he's just able to pull out something different in the wet as well.
And on the note of Oscar Piastri, I mean, he's been performing very, very well these last couple of races. Of course, very disappointed not to make a podium for a second time in a row in terms of the car performing and Lando Norris getting second twice in a row. Him not able to do so. Do you think he can finally break that drought this weekend? Maybe he will get onto the podium for the first time in his F1 career. I mean, how impressive has he been these last few weeks?
He's really impressed me the last few weeks. He's been given a race, well, a possible race winning car, and he's just driven it as high as it can go up the grid. I mean, he's been able to challenge Lando Norris in qualifying as well as during the race. So he's really, really been driving very well and certainly impressed me quite a lot. I think he certainly deserves a podium, but whether that's going to happen is, well, yet to be seen. We'll have to wait till qualifying and the race on Sunday.
Yeah, so this weekend, strategy and the setup and weather, of course, are the big, big, big factors that affect how you do in Spa for all the teams. So, as touched on, Spa is the longest lap on the F1 calendar, with 19 wide-ranging corners making up the layout. Whilst this means there is generally more time to react to an incident and make a pit stop call, if for whatever reason a team misses the chance to box, there's a long, long wait to correct it. Now, unfortunately, we've seen that with a particular presenter on the show, Reese, when we did our... We always do a racing stream before every weekend we go and race the track, and Reese came into the pits to change off of his intermediate tires as the weather was drying and went on to intermediate tires again. And the problem is that, just relating straight to that, it's a very long track for you to make a mistake. You cannot afford to have a strategy mistake like that, where if a team should decide to miss the boxing opportunity, it's like 1 minute and 45 seconds at minimum that you're going to wait until you get round.
That's a qualifying lap.
Exactly.
A race lap is sometimes over 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Especially in the wet, it's more 2 minutes 10, 2 minutes 20. So it's a very, very long lap. If you're running on a set of wet tires in the dry, you're really going to struggle if you get that pit strategy wrong.
Yeah. So tire degradation and managing the car and making the right decisions in terms of strategy and when to go in is so crucial, because, as you say, you cannot afford to wait because it's such a long track and it takes such a long time to get around. If you miss the opportunity to do so, you lose out on almost 2 minutes worth of time that you could have been quicker. So if somebody else gets there ahead of you, it's going to be significantly advantageous to that team. So absolutely crucial that they do make the decisions right. So as you say, the lap record is 146.2. So that's we're looking easily, as you say, towards those 2 minute times. So the compounds for this weekend, though, is interesting. For the first time, we don't have the C3, C4, and C5 tires. We have the C2, C3, and C4 tires. So the slightly harder compound tires out of the 5 for the year. So it's the first change in a while. So do you think that's going to have any effect as well?
Well, I don't think we're going to run them, to be honest.
True. We do have a lot of wet weather.
Rain, so, yeah, I mean, something we've also, I think, maybe forgotten to talk about. It's a sprint race weekend. It's not just a normal race weekend. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens in the sprint. We could see maybe some outliers that could possibly predict what happens on Sunday as well, just giving us a bit of a taste for some drivers in the rain in Spa, which is a very difficult track to drive in the wet. But if you're going to have a good race weekend in the wet, it's going to be around here.
Yeah, and maybe Alpine can actually finish a race.
I don't know. So will it be 3 weekends in a row or not?
Yeah, I must say they're looking for 3 and 3. No, hopefully not. I'm sure Ocon and Gasly will be absolutely daring to go and hopefully just at least finish the sprint before the main race on Sunday. So yes, as Reese alludes to, this weekend's structure and the format. We will have practice 1 tomorrow in the middle of the day. We will then have qualifying for the race on Sunday tomorrow evening. Then on Saturday, we have the sprint shootout in the morning, which is basically qualifying for the sprint, and then the sprint race in the afternoon, followed by the Grand Prix on Sunday. We also have F3 and F2 action happening again this weekend, and they follow the same format as Formula 1 this weekend. So they'll also have practice tomorrow morning, then qualifying, then the sprint shootout on Saturday, then the sprint itself, and then the race on Sunday. So very, very action-packed weekend, and you can catch it all here on Forever Motorsports with me and Reese on Forever Sports. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and comment down below, who do you think is going to win the Belgium Grand Prix, or otherwise who's your top 3 and what could happen this weekend. So Reese, I'm going to leave with that question to you. Who is going to be our top 3 this weekend?
Well, Max Verstappen, let's say, will be first, of course. Then I'm going to say Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in third.
Lewis Hamilton third, Lando Norris second. That's a very safe bet. I think, you know what, I'm gonna
all wet weather drivers.
Yeah, they are all wet weather drivers, but I'm gonna completely change the dynamic here, and I'm gonna say Max Verstappen 1, yes. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna give 4, but just because I can then say where the other one's gonna arrive. But I'm gonna say Max Verstappen 1. I'm gonna say Lewis Hamilton 2. Charles Leclerc 3 and Lando Norris 4. I reckon somehow,
Piastri.
Well, Piastri will be somewhere 5th, 6th, somewhere around there. But
I really want him to get onto the podium, but I don't know what he's like in the wet, so we might see this weekend.
I just think that surely Charles Leclerc has to get something go right for him in the first half of the season, just before the break. Surely something has to go right for Ferrari. I'm hoping this weekend it will be that time. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Charles Leclerc makes a podium this weekend somehow. So that's my prediction. Bold.
You've got a lot of Ferrari fans excited, but we'll wait and see whether that excitement is short-lived or whether it's rightful. Yeah, but I think it's going to be an interesting race weekend. Who do you think is going to be the first retiree from this race weekend, either in the sprint race or in the feature race on Sunday?
Funny enough, I'm actually going to go with Yuki Tsunoda. I'm going to say Yuki Tsunoda is going to crash out because he tends to be a bit reckless, especially in not just the Grand Prix. At least in the Grand Prix, there's a bit of a gap, so you can afford to be reckless. In the sprint, it's very, very cramped up together. I reckon in the sprint, he will at least spin out or maybe crash and collide with somebody else. That's my prediction. I reckon Yuki Tsunoda will probably collide with someone. And also, I reckon this weekend, Ricciardo will beat his teammate yet again.
Yes, I think Ricciardo is going to find a lot more pace this weekend at a track he really does enjoy. Yeah, I think he's going to have a good one and possibly show some better pace here. Will he be able to get quite close to Sergio Perez? Don't know just yet, but it could be quite exciting if he does.
I mean, I don't think so in the race, but maybe in qualifying.
I think in qualifying, yes, that's what I mean, of course.
Yeah. But guys, thank you so much for watching Forever Motorsports. This is the Belgium Grand Prix preview, and what an exciting weekend we have in store here on Forever Motorsports. So as I said, don't go anywhere. You're going to be on our streams. You're going to be on everything this weekend. So please do enjoy all of our content. From me and Reese, we're heading out of the preview, and enjoy the rest of your day further. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for today's how to watch guide for the Belgium GP. A Spa this weekend and a bit of a break after this weekend for a couple of weeks. So a very exciting time to really sort of get into the F1 season. We saw a very interesting last few weeks. The McLarens all of a sudden seem to have sorted themselves. Mercedes being a bit more competitive. The Ferrari have made a couple of changes within their structures. So it should be quite an interesting weekend. And the big question that everybody is here to ask is, how can I watch it? Right, the good news is that every single Formula 1 is shown on 2 free-to-air broadcasters. The first, which I'm going to show you, is Service TV, which is available for free in Austria. And the second is RTB, which is RTBF, rather, which is available in Belgium. Now, it means if you are in those locations, you can watch for free on those sites. However, if you are not in those locations, you can still access them, but you're going to have to use something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. Now, we recommend using Bitdefender, which is, first of all, one of the leaders in internet security and cyber security in the world. They also have a very safe, secure, and functional VPN. called Bitdefender VPN. Funny enough. Now, the link is in the description. Go and download it. Go and get your Bitdefender subscription. It's incredibly affordable. And what you're going to do is you're going to open it up, and it's going to look something like this. And you're going to go to your location over here, and you're going to click Austria. And as you can see, we are currently connected. Now, because we are currently connected, I can show you that we are currently watching Service TV. This is live TV as it goes. And as I can put the sound in there. So you should be able to hear the sound stuff. And it's working. That is as easy as it is. It will be live for all the sessions this weekend. So it's that easy. All you have to do is get yourself Bitdefender, go and connect to an Austria server, and log into service on TV, and you can watch it all live and HD. It is literally as easy as that. You can also use ExpressVPN, also link in the description. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Apart from that, come and join us over the weekend for our watch-alongs with Mark and Reece. Should be another absolutely cracking Formula One weekend, and hopefully someone can start trying to stop the Max Verstappen dominance as the other teams do start to catch up a little bit. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel on the way out. And we will see you guys this weekend.
And welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports for the qualifying session, which is about to get going here in Belgium. And the weather news is the interesting thing that we need to talk about. Is the fact that it's currently technically not raining, and it hasn't been raining for a little while. It's still damp out there, but it's not raining. So we could be looking at a session that starts on intermediate tires that very quickly moves to soft or otherwise dry tires. So that's going to be very good news, I think, Reece.
Yes, I think that's going to be quite promising, but it's going to throw some teams off for sure if we do get some dry tire running, because no one's really prepared for that at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody's managed to have a practice earlier, because the earlier session, of course, there was just rain the whole time, barely any running, as well as a red flag there for Logan Sargent. So we didn't really have much running at all. A very dire session and lack of understanding session. There's no real, it was basically pointless in terms of finding out what actually will happen for this qualifying session. So it's all up in the air as to what the timings could be. Nobody's had real practice for it. So really could be absolutely anything to come.
Yes, just talking about this track that we are at though, we are at Spa in Belgium. The first Grand Prix here was in 1950. The track length is 7.004 kilometers. It is the longest track on the current Formula One circuit. So all of the Grand Prix that we go to. Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult track here. In the wet, we've seen times over 2 minutes. So it's a very long lap around the circuit.
Indeed. And to everybody joining the stream, welcome. Be sure to like the video. Let's get those likes up to 100 as quickly as possible. We've got 120 of you viewing right now. Let's try and get that up to 200 as quickly as possible as well. And yeah, it's going to be certainly a very interesting qualifying session, which nobody has a cooking clue what's going to happen. But you can go and participate in our poll as well. We have running as to who's going to come first in qualifying. Bearing in mind, of course, Max Verstappen, should he win qualifying, will still only start in 5th position as a result of a 5-place grid penalty.
I think he's still going to, of course, take the top spot based on time, but then he will get that penalty applied. We'll see what he's able to do, though. I think he should be quite rapid. If it is wet out there, well, whether it's wet or dry, Max Verstappen is going to do quite well out in Spa. It's one of his favorite tracks. It's a second home track, or technically a first home track to him, because he lived closer to Spa than he did to Zandvoort.
But technically it's Dutch though, so Zandvoort would be more of a home Grand Prix for him. But nonetheless, as you say, it's a great race on the calendar. So cannot wait to see what happens here in qualifying. And hopefully we do see those dry tyres very soon. See some more people coming into the comments here. And oh my word, hello, we've got F1 Video Watcher. Very much thank you. Just out of nowhere, just given us a $5 donation. Thank you so much for that.
Donation.
You didn't ask us a question, you didn't ask us anything else, but we will give you a shout out. That's to F1 Video Watcher. Thank you very much for the $5 donation. Hopefully we'll have a great
stream. Yes, thank you very much. Just watching though, it is still looking very dry. We do see some clouds overhead, but still not too much happening in terms of the rain. Hopefully it stays like this throughout the rest of the session, or maybe rains a little bit throughout maybe Q2, and then...
Sorry,
gets
Reece,
dry again in
I just have to interrupt you there. Qualifying session has been delayed by 10 minutes. The qualifying session will be delayed by 10 minutes.
Dry. That's what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting to see that they've done that. But yeah, I mean, it does allow some possibly better qualifying here. It is looking a little bit dry out there. I did see earlier behind the commentators, the safety car was doing a lap out on track, so they possibly felt that it was drying quite a bit, and just decided that it was necessary to delay the session for a few more minutes. F1 video watchers, you're welcome. Thank you very much once again. Any questions that you do have, please feel free to ask. And everyone else in the comment section as well, please do like the video as well and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, indeed. And we've now, as I say, been informed that qualifying will be delayed by 10 minutes, as Reece says, likely to try and wait for the track to get dry. And also, I think because F3 was quite delayed, and as a result, it delayed F2. So we've got 15 minutes and 50 seconds until the start of qualifying. So it's a long time for me and Reece to speak about very little. So if you guys could just try and ask us some questions, let's try and have some discussions before qualifying, of course. Maybe perhaps let's try and predict who are the 5 drivers we will lose in Q1. I think that's the first thing we can talk about. So who do you think is going to be lost in the first qualifying session?
Well, I think based off of the last session, of course, not many drivers did go out and put in a lap time, but I think Logan Sargent isn't likely to get out. He struggled, obviously, in practice 1 where he went into the wall. No fault of his own, but I think that will affect his confidence going into this qualifying session. Maybe one of the Hasses, possibly Magnussen. Trying to think of who else, possibly both Alpines as well. They're really struggling out on track at the moment too. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Okay, well, I'm going to say Logan Sargent is going to get out. I'm also probably going to say, as much as the Alfa Romeos were very quick in the last qualifying session, I just don't see them being as quick today. So I think both Alfa Romeos, Logan Sargent, Kevin Magnussen, and Pierre Gasly. I'm going to say those are the 5 that will drop out in Q1. So a bit of an odd assembly of people, but that's who I'm going to go with.
Yeah, it is a bit of an unknown, of course, with the weather. That could always make things a bit different around here, especially at such a long circuit where it's got varying corners that play to different strengths of different teams. We expect, of course, the Red Bull to be blitzing ahead of everyone else yet again, but just looking at the track at the moment, it isn't 100% clear. The clouds are very light, but there might still be some light rain, but hopefully it's going to be relatively dry-ish running, hopefully intermediate to mediums. Just looking at some stats here, this is the 13th round of this Formula 1 season here in Belgium at Spa. The track distance is 7.004 kilometers, 4.3 miles. Full throttle is 67%, with a track lap record being 1:51 by Lewis Hamilton's top speed is 350 kilometers an hour with 19 turns and 100. I think it's 102 kilometers throughout a race. It's normally more than that. I think it's more than that. And then the selected tire compounds for this weekend is the C3, the C4, and the C2 compounds. So the middle of the range from C5 to C0.
Yeah, and just to go to some comments there, just saying it's wet. It's actually, it's damp is what I'd describe it as. It's damp, which means that hopefully if we can not have any rain fall, then just a couple of laps on intermediate tires should dry up the track enough for those dry running tires. So yeah, I'm hoping that's what we're going to see. And as you say, the qualifying has been delayed by 10 minutes, likely to try and dry up the track so that we don't have to waste time on the intermediate tires, because the track should hopefully dry by itself. There are currently a lot of clouds around, don't get me wrong. It's not as clear as
there is a bit of a clear patch that seems to be coming towards the track at the moment.
Yeah, and we've just passed 200 viewers. Let's keep it building, guys. Let's go and hit like on the video. If you guys go and hit like on the stream, of course, we can build our content here and get some more questions and more people coming in. So be sure to go and smash that like button right now. Let's cross 50 right now, and then of course aim for 100 as well. And also consider becoming members of the channel as well. You get some nice benefits becoming a member of the channel. And you also get a fancy little thing next to your name to show how important you are, because that's exactly what you are. When you join the Forever Sports family, you are then more important than you were before. So let's keep it going, guys. Let's grow the stream. And if you guys are new, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for all future uploads. We have a podcast every Monday. We have a preview show before every Grand Prix, and of course we do all the Grand Prix shows live, and then we also bring you breaking news in some separate videos as well. And we are going to be pushing our sister channel, Forever Motorsports, the dedicated Formula 1 channel by Forever Sports. You can go and check that out if you go and look at our channel description and look at our other channels. You'll see Forever Sports there. Be sure to subscribe to that as well. We're going to be putting a lot of content up on that soon, this coming few weeks, I suppose. So yeah, be sure to go and check that out as well.
Yes, we officially now have 10 minutes left to go until qualifying gets underway. Hopefully, it's going to be an interesting session with maybe going from intermediates to dry tires throughout the session. Max Verstappen looking quite excited for the session, looking the same as he was throughout practice 1, because he didn't really get out. He did one sighting lap, and that was about it.
I know, it was quite funny, the fact that, Max Verstappen was just chilling, laughing with the engineers the entire practice 1. So he's barely had any practice here in Spa, and he's going to go straight into my word.
As the Aston Martin mechanics are playing with their fans that they use to blow around one of their team members' beards, the new Red Bull Ducks, actually looking at these Aston Martin ones, it looks a little bit inspired by them, but just a little bit slimmer as well. But it does have that very far protruding intake scoop. Carlos Sainz getting ready at the moment as well to get in his car. His balaclava is on. He still has 10 minutes to go though, so possibly just getting comfortable in the car before the session gets underway. Some drivers like to get in their car a little bit earlier. It takes them a bit of time to get their mind and focus, just to calm down and really focus on what's ahead. Qualifying is, of course, very difficult. You have to use every inch of the circuit to get as much time out of a lap. So it is a very difficult feat to put in a fast lap time around Spa, especially in the wet.
Yeah, and looking at the weekend forecast with regards to weather, currently it's cloudy but not raining, but it is predicted to start raining again towards the latter end of today. Then tomorrow we're looking at rain for most of the day, and Sunday is going to be cloudy, so might not actually have rain on the race day. So hopefully that is going to actually happen, but we'll see what happens with the weather as the weekend goes. George Russell getting firmly fitted into his car. He's looking very much ready to get going, and hopefully this will be a good weekend for him. He's been a little bit disappointing as of late. Hopefully he can finish a little bit higher up this weekend as well. We've just passed 300 viewers, but the likes are not following, guys. Let's keep liking the video. Please smash that like button right now. If you hit that like button, I'm sure your favorite driver will perform well this session. It's just fate. That's how it works. You have to go and smash the like button. Let's keep the stream going here. Ask us some questions as well. We've got a 10-minute delay, so we've got a little bit of time here to answer your questions before we obviously get on into the action of qualifying. So be sure to go and ask us questions. Otherwise, let us know who do you think is going to top qualifying in our poll as well.
Joe Blogs with a very good comment there, saying if it starts drying out, it may come down to the last lap for each in the session. That's certainly true, because as it gets drier, the track gets faster. So if you're the very last driver out, that of course crosses the line in time and get a clean lap, and you could very well set the fastest lap time of the entire session.
Yeah, it's going to be it's certainly going to be something to think about for all these teams, and that could result in some changes, of course, to some of the other big drivers if they manage to only get a time in towards the end. Well, rather don't get a time in towards the end, and if they don't get that decent time at the end, they are going to find themselves unluckily not disqualified, but out of the qualifying sessions for Q2 and or Q3. Maybe something completely bizarre happens to Max Verstappen. He doesn't get out of Q3 and takes a 5-place grid penalty, which means that he starts right back at the back of the grid. I don't see it happening, but these are the sort of things that can happen in qualifying. So do be sure to stick around on the channel, as we're very close to getting going, just 8 minutes away as a result of the delayed restart.
Yes, luckily not too long left to get going. 360 of you watching alongside with us now. Thank you very much for joining. See, it does help when you do like the video. It just pushes our channel up a little bit in the recommendations. So please be sure to give the channel a like and subscribe as well. Currently looking at the track, it's looking quite dry through sector 2 as well. That very, very long, tight right-hander. As we see, George Russell's already at the end of the pit lane with 7 minutes to go. He's got quite a long wait.
And why has he got inters on? Look at the track.
It's not. He's got mediums.
No, he's got inters
Or
on.
a set of yellows.
It's got inters on. I'm telling you, he's got inters on. I don't know why he's at the end of the grid lane already. I mean, he's got 7 minutes still to wait here before we get going with the qualifying session. And the other Mercedes has joined him. I don't understand what the is that mediums? Are those mediums? I can't see. No, those are intermediate tires, are they not? Those look like intermediate tires.
I can't really
Intermediates.
see.
Yeah.
Yes, intermediate.
Why?
I mean, that's all right. It's going to allow the track to dry quite fast. It's also a cautious approach, of course, because you don't necessarily know what the track is going to be like. Rather go out on a set of interiors, which, I mean, you can see on the edges of the track, there's a lot of standing water, as we see now Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas join George Russell at the end of the pit lane.
Yes.
420 of you watching alongside us now. Thank you very much for joining. Dilanka with a comment saying, I think Max has enough pace to win from 5th. Plus, he's a master in the wet and he's good at conserving his tyres. Can't see anything past a Max win, barring some wet weather shenanigans.
Yeah,
yes, I mean, certainly in the first corner, there could be some shenanigans around here. We've seen it in the past where I think it was Charles Leclerc got Fernando Alonso over the top of him, or one of the other drivers over the top of him in that first corner. It's quite dangerous here, especially in the wet, into that first corner where people lock their brakes up quite a lot. I quite enjoy Valtteri Bottas's helmet for this weekend, Mark. Have you seen it?
Yes, no, that baby blue there looking very, very nice on his in the car there.
It's also got waffles on it, Stella, and chips, pommes frites.
Yeah, and Russell basically just complaining to his engineer, saying there's bright sunshine at the end of the pit lane here.
I did say there was a clear patch that was moving overhead, and we can see now the sun has moved out of the clouds there. Maybe the other teams who've decided to stay into the pits have made the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, very early to call that. I don't quite know why they went out so early.
And they can't reverse and go back into their pits.
No, exactly.
Now.
They have to go around. They're going to have to go around.
It doesn't necessarily hurt to do a sighting lap in Quali 1, of course.
It can.
It shouldn't make too much of a difference.
It can. The reason why I say it can is because, unlike most qualifying sessions, don't forget, the length of these qualifying sessions does not change for any race, regardless of how long the track is. Now, this is the longest track on circuit. So, in previous straight races where you could sometimes have 1.5 minutes to 1 minute 05s or whatever for a track lap time, here you're looking at the 145s, 150s even for intermediate tires. So, you know, it's a lot of time to waste to go around the track. So that's also another big factor that's going to play into qualifying today. This track is very long, and that you've got to get out there as quickly as possible for each session.
Just seeing on the radar, and Mercedes confirming, there's a small rain cell that's going to be kind of hovering over turn 5. They're busy watching to see what it's going to be doing, but I mean, just because this track is so long, there's different weather zones between turn 1 and turn 5. Turn 5, of course, being the furthest point from the start line of the circuit. It's, yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something to play into. Yeah. We've just crossed 500 viewers, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Let's get those likes up to 100 as well. Let's keep smashing that like button if you've just joined the stream, and otherwise, if you are new, subscribe to the channel. Look in the crowd here, all waving at the cameras here. There's the whole orange army there clapping as well. They've got a whole little chant going on there, and the crowd is looking very much happy with life, and the sun is out. Some people have put their umbrellas away. They're enjoying the current weather because it's not been great this weekend so far. So let's hope that it does improve. So both Mercedes are at the end of the pit lane on intermediate tires. Meanwhile, the track is just drying up quicker and quicker because of the sunshine right now. So maybe a bit of a brave call there by Mercedes to send out both their drivers very early. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I think it will still be a little bit slick out there. We'll wait and see what happens, of course, as we do see the majority of all the weather coats and the raincoats have been taken off now by the crowd. And we see those little spots of rain on Valtteri Bottas's car, though. Maybe it is still spitting ever so slightly.
Yeah, maybe. It's quite weird that it's open there, just behind.
Yes, that's not supposed to be open. That's meant to be closed up.
So I think that's what they're just focusing
they've made a mistake.
Yeah. That's going to be a bit of
that is Alfa Romeo for all of you at home who can't see what we're seeing, of course. It looks like their fuel filler cap, pretty much, that they take off and then replace and put back on when they send the car out for aerodynamic reasons. They've left that open for some unknown reason. They might get a reprimand for that.
Yeah, I doubt he'll get any penalties otherwise, but they might just get a bit of a talking to saying, hey, you can't do that. Just looking here at Alex Albon's form, he did improve temporarily. Unfortunately, he's just dipped back
Let's
down
see
again.
what tyres he's on, though, Mark.
Yes.
It looks like there may be a set of mediums. Lewis Hamilton has his gloves off in the car at the moment. He's switching them out. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's
Never
quite
seen
interesting.
that before in the pit lane. 2 minutes left to go, though, until the session gets underway. Yeah, still waiting to see what tyres Alex Albon is on. They still had the blankets on, so we will wait and see whether they make the jump to be the first team out on a set of dry tyres.
Indeed, guys, we are so close to 100 likes. Let's try and get those 100 likes going. Just 16 to go, guys. If you just go and smash that like button right now, we'll cross that threshold very, very easily. Enough of you watching to go and do that. So just hit that like button, and at the end of the stream again, you can unlike it if you really wish. But let's just get it up to 100 right now. As I say, earlier we did have a donation there from F1 Watcher, or I can't remember the name. I just want to go back and try and find it. F1 Video Watcher. So thank you very much to that. And if anybody else feels as gracious as that person does, and they do appreciate the comment, we do very much appreciate a super chat as well. And of course, we will always read out your super chats, provided, of course, it's fine to read out. But we will always read them out. So if you guys want us to answer a question desperately, be sure to go and send us that. Otherwise, we are almost up to 600 viewers and very, very close to the start of qualifying here. Just under a minute to go due to that delayed restart. Both Mercedes will take us away, and yeah, the track's looking much, much drier than it was before. The sun is currently shining. There's lots of clouds around, and it has been raining all day, but the sun is currently shining, so yeah, we could see some dry tires being used, and I'm sure we're going to see those towards... everyone seems to be on the intermediate tires, but is anybody going to be brave enough to go out on the dry tires?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of a gamble to see what happens, but I mean, if this track dries up quickly, you may as well just find yourself being quite lucky out there if you make the gamble to go out first on the dries. I think the Red Bulls may as well just wait it out. It does look very dry though, so I do think you should just stay and go out. But I mean, I say that there is a bit of spray coming off of George Russell's car as he comes into Eau Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at a lot of spray there as we get going with the session one. So there's a lot of spray still on the track. So probably the intermediate tires are the correct choice for now.
I expect it to dry out quite quickly though as he's coming down that long main straight. Still a bit of spray through there, but it is, as I said, very sunny overhead, and it could dry out quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to probably see the tire changes very, very soon. But, you know, let's get going here with the first qualifying session. We've got 17 minutes left and a whole lot of cars making their way out right now. Ferrari are just delaying, and so are Red Bull with regards to getting out there, but they're all of them on the intermediate tires. I think that's just to try and dry up the track a bit. There's still quite a lot of wet, damp patches on the track, which they'll have to drive through. So that's probably why they're still on the intermediate tires. Though after that...
Well, I mean, it's certainly looking a bit too wet out there for dry weather tires just yet. As we do now have 700 of you watching along with us, thank you very much for joining the stream. Please do be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Formula One content brought by us throughout the rest of this race weekend and the rest of the season. We have George Russell currently in the middle of a... I think he's on his first hot lap, is he not now, Mark?
I think Russell is... No, he's still making his way around his first sighting lap. That's how long the track is. So
yes, I forget this track just takes forever to get around, especially on an out lap. So many people get caught out at the end of a qualifying session, just not timing it correctly. And as I said, you can really get caught out. We still have Logan Sargent out of the car at the moment. He's the only driver not in his car. It's still currently being rebuilt after his accident into that braking zone after the start, well, the long DRS zone. We have George Russell now making his way into turn one for his first qualifying attempt.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first lap of the day, so this is going to be a good site to understand the sort of times we can expect on this intermediate tire, at least in these conditions where it's semi-dry, semi-wet. It's more wet than dry, but it's just damp, and it will certainly form a dry line very, very soon, I'm sure, as we can already see the spray has significantly decreased since earlier. It was a lot. Oh my word! And the flares are out already. The orange flares are
we
there.
don't want to see flares again. Gosh, I thought we'd gotten rid of them. But we do see George Russell has set the fastest first sector. That's expected. He's the first driver out there setting a time. Let's see what he can do through the middle sector now. He's looking quite comfortable out there, though, as he does come through turn 7. Very, very neat and tidy through there. Turn 8. Now, this is where we lost, I think it was Zhou Guanyu earlier. He's still keeping his car out on track there, George Russell. Hamilton not able to match George Russell's first sector, though.
No, we can see that George Russell's going around quicker than Hamilton so far, but we'll see what he does in Sector 2 and Sector 3. He should come to the Sector 2 marker just about now.
Just scaring though, Mark, we have a pocket of rain making its way through towards Lake Com, which is, I think, turn 10. So that's going to be interesting. That's possibly making its way over in the next 10 minutes. So hopefully that does get diverted a little bit. Otherwise, that could make things very interesting out on track.
George Russell set the second sector side.
Well.
1 minute 30 seconds there for the second sector. Hamilton has beaten him in that second sector. So Hamilton went slower in the first sector to Russell, but has gone quicker in the second sector. There are other cars trying to set their times right now. Oh my word, Russell's going to have to put up with a lot of traffic here as he comes into the final two turns.
They are all backing off for him though quite well. So they are staying very well off the racing line there and not getting in his way. That's what we want to see, as we do see now Charles Leclerc starting his first hot lap. George Russell coming across the line now. You can't even see him because of all the spray. He finishes with a 2:02.3, waiting for Hamilton's time now. His middle sector has been taken away by Valtteri Bottas.
Wow.
Sorry, Lando Norris.
Lando Norris, just want to say, Lando Norris is
Hamilton goes faster, though, than his teammate George Russell. Waiting now for Lando Norris, who's got that fastest middle sector. We did expect him to be very fast here in the wet. Let's see what he can do through this final sector now, making his way through that final chicane. Very tricky braking section. Gets a little bit hard on the curbs there, but still keeping his car
I think we've
quite
got a new
level.
fastest lap here. And...
Yes, I think we're going to.
Yeah,
let's see what he does as he comes across the line, and he finishes fastest by 0.4 seconds. That's brilliant from Lando Norris.
Yeah, and we've got 13 minutes left of the session. We can already see how all these cars going around. Yes, it's still wet and still intermediate conditions, but I do think that coming into Q2, we'll likely see, hopefully if there's not too much rain or otherwise disruptions, we should see some dry tires come out. Just watching a replay here of Lando Norris, as you say, riding that curb quite a lot, I think it was. Let's just watch that replay here. Just got a bit of smoking off the back of his car there, actually. That's what they're looking at. I think that's the brakes, perhaps?
That's, yes, most likely the brakes. There may be a visor tear off in there, or I don't know, maybe a piece of rubber. It does happen sometimes. Hopefully it just burns off. George Russell, though, on another quali attempt, he's going even faster into the first sector, making his way through the middle sector now. Let's wait for him to cross that middle sector marker and see what he does. He's 0.5 faster than Lando Norris. As you said, Mark, this track is just evolving ever so quickly around here.
Yeah, and it will, of course, with the more attempts, and the line will become a little bit more dry. And otherwise, the other thing to also note is the fact that I think a lot of people go out there with quite a bit of fuel on, so they can just get laps going the whole time, so that they can just continuously go round, because it will just get quicker and quicker and quicker. As Russell's not going to come across the line now. Here he comes, Russell, and he will go into first position at 2:01.48. Notably, he lost time in the last sector there, which is interesting as well.
Magnussen, the first driver to have his lap time deleted. His time has been deleted. Hamilton moves himself up now into second place. Just watching here, this moment that had his lap time getting deleted. He was going into turn 10 there and just went ever so wide, and that is pretty clear as to why his lap time has been deleted. We have now 1,000 people watching alongside with us. Thank you very much for joining. Verstappen puts in his first lap time, not able to match Russell.
No, I mean, that's very interesting there for Max Verstappen. Of course, I think he's going to be on higher fuel, the same as Russell was. So yes, I think Verstappen's following lap will probably be quicker. Hulkenberg is set the first fastest sector now, so we'll see if he can continue. Although it's been taken away from him, it's by Carlos Sainz has now gone quickest in the first sector. So we're going to see these sector times tumbling. So it's going to be a very interesting end to the session. Right now, they're just all of them getting banker laps in, essentially, as Piastri now goes fastest. And race control has now noted an incident involving cars 1, Verstappen, and Alex Albon for impeding. I wonder who that was.
I wonder who impeded who there. That's going to be... Hopefully we see the replay of that. Still a lot of spray being kicked up by these cars, but that's what we want to see now, because that means that all of that water is being removed from the asphalt and getting put up in the air, and that can get taken away by the next car that comes through. Hopefully this track is just drying up ever so quickly. Magnussen now moves himself up into 8th position with the fastest final sector. That's very good from Kevin Magnussen, but it just shows how quickly this track is evolving. Hulkenberg now puts himself into 10th. Interesting that Magnussen is ahead of Hulkenberg. That's not often that we see that.
No, indeed, we don't see that very often at all. But an interesting thing to also note is the fact that Leclerc just seems to be... Oh, no, never mind. As I say that, he's just completed a lap now, and he's moved himself way ahead of where he was, so I'm all safe now.
Big moment for Lando Norris. Massive moment for him into turn 16. Very, very lucky to keep that car from going into the wall. And I mean, he has possible front wing damage and possible floor damage from that
lot
incident.
of gravel there, so yeah. Big incident, as you say, with
he
Lando
may as well
Norris.
come straight into the pits after that. Carlos Sainz has gone fastest over everyone. Max Verstappen, though, coming through that last corner now with a purple middle sector. What can he do as he comes across the line? Only second, though, as you say, Mark. Ever so slightly behind Sainz, though.
I'm just touching wood right now. I'm just touching wood right now, but I did say this is going to be hopefully the turnaround weekend for Ferrari, so I'm just hoping it's sort of an early indicator that that's going to happen. Race Control has noted that Norris's time has been deleted. I think that's rather obvious.
No shit.
Now seeing, is that Logan Sargent making his way out onto track?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Well done to Williams for finally getting that car out on track. I saw a question from someone earlier asking what happened to Logan Sargent, why he wasn't out on track. He unfortunately aquaplaned in FP1 and just hit into the wall, and there was a bit of damage for the team to repair. And luckily they did get it fixed before the session. Just watching this impeding moment between Alex Albon and Max Verstappen. Max gets in the way of Albon by the looks of it.
Although,
I don't think it's that bad, to be honest.
I think Max Verstappen starts his lap, so
did.
I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? Ricardo now
Daniel
on board
Ricciardo
with...
doing a good first sector at the moment. Let's see what he can do through the middle sector. This track drying out ever so fast now. We're seeing a little bit of moisture moving off of Daniel Ricciardo's visor, but that's off of his front wheels. Let's see what he can do. Where is Sergio Perez? Perez is currently down in P9. Let's see if he is able to... Yes, 10. Stroll goes up into 9th. Daniel Ricciardo making his way through the middle sector. Let's see... what his middle sector time is going to be compared to Nico Hulkenberg's, who is in 15th at the moment, that dropout zone. Lando Norris also on another hot lap.
Yeah, so Ricardo's a little bit
0.2
up on Hulkenberg's time, so that's good from Ricardo. Just also notably, just quietly flying under the radar, there's Alonso, who's up in P3, just 0.2 seconds behind Carlos Sainz's time. So great flying lap there from Fernando Alonso. And I'm also hoping that Aston Martin can try and do well this weekend as well.
Alonso really likes... Yes, Alonso really does like changing conditions like this, and we just see him excel when we have tricky conditions like this. And Ricciardo, though, coming now through that final chicane and crossing the line, he moves himself up into 12th. That's brilliant through the final sector, finding quite a lot of pace through there. His teammate up in 7th, though.
Yeah, Norris has gone slower in Sector 2, unfortunately, notably for him. It's going to come towards the end of Sector 3 now as he gives up in his lap. Yeah, I think it was going too slowly, so he's going to dive into the pits. And he's going to have a bit of change there. We've got 6 minutes and 45 seconds left of this session. And as Steve says, if you guys haven't already, please go and subscribe to our dedicated Formula 1 channel over there. And you can go and follow that link. Go subscribe to that channel. We're going to be using that channel a lot more going into the future. We'll still obviously use this channel, but we're going to do a lot more dedicated content on the other channel there, Forever Motorsport. So be sure to go and check that out, as Steve goes and says as well. And let's keep the comments going, guys. We've got 1,200 of you watching, so thank you so much for watching. But we've only got 120 likes. It's only 10% of you. So let's try and get that up to 20%. Let's just smash that like button right now. This is your chance to hit that like button. And as I say, keep the comments coming in. Ask us some questions. We'll get to those that we do see if the action isn't quite happening out on track. Bottas now starting a flying lap down
just
in 18th
seeing,
position.
there is a lot of dry points on this track. I mean, it's going to be quite soon when we're going to get running on some dry tires again. Just watching Valtteri Bottas on a run at the moment through the first sector. Let's see what he is able to do as he makes the braking zone 0.8 behind Alex Albon for now. So he's quite far off the pace.
Yeah, so it's not looking very good for Valtteri Bottas. I did say that I reckoned that both Alfa Romeos will drop out of this session. I said Logan Sargent, both Alfa Romeos, Kevin Magnussen, and I said Gasly. And right now, I'm not too far away from my prediction. Russell on the radio, the Reese, did you see what he said?
Just carrying on watching Valtteri Bottas at the moment, not
Clearly
doing
not.
a brilliant lap time at the moment. Yeah, just a little bit off of the pace for now.
Yeah, I'll take it that Reese didn't hear what Russell was saying on the radio as I asked, but it's all good.
Sorry.
Russell is gone into 5th position right now, and 5 minutes to go in the session as Leclerc moves into 3rd, ahead of Fernando Alonso. We've got Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso 4th, Piastri 5th, George Russell 6th. So Piastri's gone quicker than Lando Norris. Sainz improves upon his time and goes a sub 2 minutes. Bottas has significantly also increased his time on Albon in the 2nd sector. So the track is very quickly evolving. Sainz has gone into 1:59.8.
Max Verstappen's currently on a very fast lap time. He's coming into the final chicane. He should be putting an even faster lap time on the board very, very soon. Let's see what he's able to do as he now comes across the line. Where does he put himself? First, as he does. 1:58.9. Almost a full second ahead of everyone else out there. Valtteri Bottas, though, with the better middle sector, he moves himself up into P6.
Yeah, and he's just noting that the track times are significantly dropping. So these guys want to try and get out of the track as quickly as possible and try and get a lap in as late as possible as well, because the track is just, as we say, at the very end of each session we'll see the fastest times get put in. Stewards have noted an instance with Verstappen and Albon reviewed no further investigation, which is what we thought
Yeah,
would
I
happen.
thought as much.
So all good there. Leclerc currently on a flying lap. Let's see how he fares. He's still got a little bit of track to go. Zhou has gone quicker in Sector 1 and Sector 2 than Esteban Ocon. He's coming towards the last couple of turns here. Provided he nails these, he should do a decent lap here. He's going to get probably...
Piastri gets quite close to Max Verstappen's lap time now
Really?
with the 1:59. 0.1 behind, not too bad.
1.1 seconds behind.
0.1.
I see it as 1.1. That's what it says on my screen. Hamilton has gone
Mine
quickest
says
though.
0.1. So
Hamilton's gone
yes,
quickest,
Hamilton.
a 1:58.8. So that's quicker than Max Verstappen by 0.09 seconds. Gasly now coming into this final 2 corners here. Let's see what sort of time he can put in. It's going to look like maybe a 2 minutes, maybe a 1:59. And he crosses the line a whole 1.2 seconds behind Hamilton. So he finishes up in 7th position.
Yes, not a bad lap time from Pierre Gasly. Still running intermediate tyres at the moment. I see we have Taya in the comments once again, just asking if we're using the same format as last weekend. No, it is once again your normal
What?
qualifying format in terms of tyres.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, and it's pretty much free range, but at the moment everyone is running intermediate because it is still slightly wet out on track.
Yeah, Lando Norris now on a
Flying
lap.
out quite quickly though.
He's quite close to that drop zone there, so it's quite crucial that he does well here. He's down on Lewis Hamilton's time by 0.7 already, so it's quite a bit slower. He's looking at around 5th position right now if he can try and keep his times somewhere near where he is currently, which is all right, but not brilliant, as we've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds left of the session.
Norris about to finish up this lap time now, coming through the final chicane, turn 18 and 19. He gets quite close and onto the sausage curb quite a lot there. I wonder if that helps him find more time there.
No,
or
it
if
doesn't.
that,
I think
yeah,
he
I
lost
didn't
time.
think it would, as he only comes 8th. He lost a lot of time there in that final sector. Still fastest than his previous lap times, but I mean, yeah, nothing brilliant for him at the moment. I think it's possibly a little bit too dry in certain sections for these tyres now, and they are overheating.
Just watching a replay of Kevin Magnussen. I think he gets released from the pits here, and I think it's probably an unsafe release perhaps, and he does come out of the pits. And just looking at, what are we looking at here?
Oh,
Replay.
I wonder if they left the... What did happen here?
Oh, he's hit the top
They've
of
left the marker for him.
Oh,
There's a light that's above their pit lane that shows them where, when they can leave their pit box, and they forgot to raise that as he drove out and he hit it. Hopefully that wouldn't have caused any damage to the car, because I mean, I've never seen anything like that before.
No.
I wouldn't know how long that would take to even replace.
Anyway, we've got a minute left of the session. Kevin Magnussen well up on Stroll's times. We're seeing times dramatically drop here. Both Haas's, both Williams and Daniel Ricciardo currently in the drop zone, but Albon is also up on Stroll. So we're going to see these times change as we've got the last 50 seconds here, but lots and lots of traffic for Magnussen to put up with now as he's passing through in this final sector. And I'm not sure if he's had to slow down too much there or not. I'm hoping the car's got out of his way enough. as Alex Albon is also going to have to put up with that traffic. So we've got people crossing the lines now. Kevin Magnussen crosses, moves into 9th position with the fastest purple sector there in sector 3. So great there from him. Alex Albon now crossing the line. Will he go around even quicker? He's going to cross now in only a 2-minute dead. So 11th position for him. So it doesn't look too safe quite just yet.
Well, now, but Magnussen has set the fastest final sector. Watching what Tsunoda's doing, as it's quite dry where he's driving out there in turn 13. So he may very well get the best track time out there and may be able to pull something interesting through.
Well, at the same time, these intermediate tires, these intermediate tires do sometimes, overheat if there's not enough wet patches on the track, because unfortunately they are made to deal with wet weather. So might not be the best thing for him. Hopefully his times will still be quite quick. He's looking quite quick. He's not too far away from Hamilton's time, as Max Verstappen is up on Hamilton's time. So
Perez goes quicker than Max Verstappen. He's in P2. Let's see what he does now as he comes through the final 2 corners. Yuki Tsunoda through turn 19 now, a lot cleaner than Lando Norris was able to do.
Great. And we, of course, finished the session right now, so everyone's on their final laps. Bottas moves to 6th, so now we're into the danger zones here. Fernando Alonso's at risk. Max Verstappen now crossing the line. He should go quickest at 158.5. Max Verstappen goes quickest by 0.3 seconds up on Hamilton. Now following him is Daniel Ricciardo. Can he get out of the drop zone? He crosses the line in a great lap there, 159.4 from Danny Rick. He moves into 6th position. Stroll now coming across the line. Where does he put himself? He puts himself right up into 10th position. Not necessarily quite safe just yet. Fernando Alonso, his teammate, is also following. He's currently sitting in 17th. Drivers currently in the relegation zone. Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Zhou, Sargent, and Hulkenberg. Although Zhou Guanyu and Hulkenberg and Danny Rick has had his lap time deleted, so he will drop. Danny Rick. He will drop as well. So Danny Rick, Hulkenberg, and Zhou are all out of the session so far.
Alonso up into 2nd. Brilliant from him there. Hamilton, though, going even faster. He's coming across the line now. He goes 2nd. Leclerc also coming through the final sector now. Hamilton, though, not improving on this final sector, so still a bit of time for him to find. Leclerc looking quite fast out there, and Sainz as well on good laps at the moment. Let's see what they are able to do. Logan Sargent's also on a hot lap. Let's see what he's able to do, if he's able to get out of the bottom
Leclerc
5.
currently in the relegation zone. Yes. Is he going to get out of it? Yes, he moves into the quickest lap of the day, 158.3. Great there from Charles Leclerc.
Sainz up into P4 as well. Logan Sargent comes across the line. He only qualifies in P18. So that is our bottom 5 for the race on Sunday. Alex Albon in 16th, Zhou Guanyu 17th, Sargent 18th, Daniel Ricciardo unfortunately only in 19th because his lap time was deleted, and Hulkenberg in P20.
I mean, it's quite surprising that Hulkenberg's all the way down in P20. He's usually a brilliant qualifying driver, but he's got outperformed by his teammate for the first time in a while and drops down all the way into 20th. Not a great session there for Haas, but they only lost one driver, whereas Williams have lost both of theirs. Alex Albon will start the race in 16th position on Sunday. So, as Steve says, is fuming. Danny Rick is out. His time was a brilliant time.
Daniel Ricciardo is fuming as well on the radio. He's effing and othering on the radio at the moment. So, yeah, he's also quite upset.
Yeah, well, his lap was brilliant, but not within track limits, which is very, very unfortunate for him. We're up to 1,600 viewers. Let's get the likes up there as well, guys. Let's get to 200 likes. Come on, hit and smash that like button. Like Gunther says, you can smash the like button, and we can. I think we should be able to get the stream up to 2,000 viewers at some point during the qualifying. So we have finished Q1 here. Hulkenberg 20th, Ricciardo 19th, Sargent 18, Zhou 17, and Alex Albon 16. Those are the 5 relegated. And as I've said, and I keep touching any piece of wood around me to hopefully keep the good omen going, I said this weekend could possibly be a good one for Ferrari, and Charles Leclerc topped Q1 at 158.3, 0.2 seconds up on Max Verstappen at 2nd. Hamilton finished in 3rd, Sainz in 4th, and Alonso 5th. And we've got Q2 coming up in just a moment.
Well, we're seeing this track dry so quickly at the moment. On their warm down laps, where Daniel Ricciardo lost that lap time just at the top of Radion. Unfortunately, he just took that a bit too far, cut that corner ever so slightly, and that was his lap time deleted. And as I was saying, on everyone's warm down laps, as they're coming back to the pits, you can see some really dry lines being formed. Watching where Alex Albon, as Mark says, his lap time where that was deleted, he lost it into turn 8.
Well, I don't even necessarily think it was, if his track time was deleted. I just think he was going on a quick lap. They probably would have got out of that relegation zone, but just had a bit of a moment. And as a result, has been relegated from the qualifying session. So disappointing there for Alex Albon. I think he could have done relatively well there. So yeah, I mean, we've got Q2 coming up in just a bit. Who are the next 5 drivers we are going to lose? Let us know in the comments. And we will see what happens after that.
Yes, I think we're going to see these track times, of course, fall very, very quickly in qualifying 2. Coming up very shortly here. It's going to be an interesting session. I don't necessarily know if where the Ferraris are at the moment is their true pace. They could fall a little bit behind where they are at the moment, but it's going to be an interesting Q2 session, possibly with some rain coming in as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Please do stick around as we have just a few minutes until we get back out on track for Quali 2.
And we're also just 6 likes away from 200 likes. So go and smash that like button right now. Let's try and get you as the 200th person to like the stream. Yeah, let's keep it going, guys. And again, if you guys want us to answer your question, be sure to go and send us a super chat. Or otherwise, try and get our attention that way by also becoming a member. You get something next to your name, which makes it very obvious for us to see where you are and what you're chatting about. And we'll try and answer some questions before we get on into Q2. And obviously, when the action will start, we'll try and look back and forth between the two of them and try and bring you the action as it will. Race Control has noted that Q2 will start at 17:35 local time.
So 1 minute.
So in 1 minute's time.
Yes, not long left to get going, so that is at least relatively exciting. We don't have to wait like we had to wait for Q1. So those of you who are leaving, please don't. We still have qualifying 2 and qualifying 3 ahead of us, and it is still going to be very exciting as we do see some drivers at the end of the pit lane already waiting for the session to get underway.
So, Reece, who are the 5 drivers you reckon are going to be eliminated in Q2?
Gosh. Where did the Alfa Romeos come?
Well, Joe's out.
Yes. Where's Bottas? I think Bottas is doing well enough to maybe get into Q3. Gosh, it's really difficult to predict. Maybe the Alpines, Yuki Tsunoda. That's 3, 2 more. I don't know. Maybe Stroll and Bottas.
Okay. That's an interesting prediction there. As we do have Q2 underway, just 15 minutes long. This session is 15 minutes long. Now, all of them, I think, still on intermediate tires, though I think towards the end of the session, we'll probably see them go onto the dry compounds. So just watching here.
There's a bit of a dark cloud moving overhead over the pit lane, so it might be a bit of a risk of rain coming overhead again. Hopefully it doesn't, but this track, as you said, is drying up very quickly. We could have them on dry tires just in a few minutes. Hamilton on the radio. Just asking if there's rain on the radio.
Yeah, I mean...
just being told it's transitioning to dry, so just watch what's happening out there and
I think
let
it's
us know,
asking
Randy.
for a good reason, because the track is looking dry enough, probably, for those dry tires. I think it's only this corner here as Hamilton comes through. It's turn 8 that's a little bit wet, and where people have had moments. So turn 8's looking a little bit wet, but the rest of the track very much dry. So yeah, we're going to wait and see. Everyone's still on those intermediate tires as they're coming out of the pits now. But
what is the Red Bull on? Is he on a set of Inters?
no, it's Inters, yeah. They're all of them on
Okay,
Inters.
just checking. No, just, you never know. Some people might just make a bit of a risk choice.
Albon will be
Turn
investigated after the session for rejoining the track unsafely. That's after his incident there in qualifying 1.
Yes, because they do have regulations where they have to join the track in a certain way. Just watching, I think that is Sergio Perez, no, sorry, Max Verstappen on his outlap at the moment. It is very dry, though, coming down that very long DRS straight. DRS could be enabled quite shortly. Coming through turn 6 and 7 at the moment, looking relatively dry through there. There's a good dry line, and then he makes his way through turn 8, and there is going to... well, there's a bit more water over there. Oscar Piastri on the radio at the moment, just saying it's not too far off 6. Just confirming what I was thinking over there. So, yeah, it could ramp up very quickly. And if we do get some dry running, they'll want to get that done as quickly as possible if there is the threat of rain. Please do be sure to vote in our poll that we do have running at the moment. Who will top qualifying? A lot of people giving their their luck to Lando Norris. I certainly think he could have a very good day out here. He's also, I think, past Belgium, so he will be wanting to have a good performance. It looks like we have Lewis Hamilton, the first of the top drivers, starting his hot lap in qualifying 2, coming through turn 4 and 5 at the moment. Eau Rouge and Radion, that very famous corner here and in Spa. Now through that very long DRS, but not enabled as of yet. First fastest sector for him at the moment, and just waiting for the second sector to come up now. Is doing quite well out there on track. Looking very, very composed through those sectors where there is that dry line being formed. We're seeing a lot less of a spray being kicked off the back of that car as his first fastest sector has been stolen away from him. Just waiting to see who that time has been taken by. It's actually Kevin Magnussen. Very interesting to see Kevin Magnussen's having some great lap times out there on track. George Russell also on a hot lap. Not too far off of his teammates' lap times at the moment. Just looking in the comment section at the moment, seeing if any of you have some questions. Asking if Norris has any car damage after his little escapade off the track into the gravel. I think he's actually doing all right at the moment, possibly having a little bit of front wing damage, but I think they would have changed that wing. Hamilton fastest in the middle sector though. Let's see what he can do throughout the rest of the lap. Charles Leclerc currently with the fastest lap time overall. George Russell with the fastest middle sector, but that's also been taken away by, I think, Kevin Magnussen out on track. Just watching now, Lewis Hamilton finishing up his lap, coming through the final 2 corners, sliding a little bit into turn 18, now making his way through turn 19 and finishing up this lap, coming through where the DRS would have opened, and now finishing up that lap and going fastest overall with a 158.0. George Russell a little bit behind his teammate with a 158.2. Valtteri Bottas finding great lap times out there with a 157.6. Finding brilliant lap times out there. This track is really drying up quite quickly as we see multiple people with purple sectors. Magnussen now fastest overall with the 157.4. Piastri fastest in the middle sector. Ocon fastest in the first sector. Max Verstappen also on a hot lap at the moment. Let's see what Oscar Piastri can do as he is coming through that final chicane. He comes across the line and puts himself fastest a whole second ahead of Kevin Magnussen, the 156.3 from Oscar Piastri. Brilliant lap time from him. Esteban Ocon now coming through that final chicane. Let's see where he puts himself. Alonso goes into third. Ocon comes across the line. He goes second. As we can see, this track is really evolving very, very quickly.
We've got just under 10 minutes left and I am back. Sorry, I just had to go and get a drink because I was struggling a little bit with my voice. Otherwise, I am back. Max Verstappen now on a fast lap here. Will he beat Perez's time, which has now gone quickest? As we see, actually, I think Gasly had his lap time deleted clearly. That's the issue there. Yeah, Gasly had his lap time
moves
deleted.
himself up into second with a 156.2 seconds off of Perez. But Max Verstappen goes fastest once again by 0.4 seconds. Possibly just getting the best track times out there as we see Carlos Sainz coming through the final sector now. Will he be able to beat Verstappen's time? No, he won't. He only puts himself up into 9th. He's quite far off the pace by the looks of things. Yuki Tsunoda now coming up to the final chicane as well. Where will this lap time put him 53, 54, 55, and he puts himself only in 7th. 1.2 seconds.
Sorry, Reese is just dropping out there a little bit. But yes, just looking at our top 10 there, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, and then I've got a replay of, I think this is an instance.
Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, this is just the
sorry, Pierre Gasly.
Well, it's Pierre Gasly
What happened with
the incident,
Alex
yes.
Albon, yes. We can see, though, how much more wet it was when they were racing through there. Now it's a lot drier, and they're able to extract a lot more lap times through Quali 1. They were struggling to get through that 2-minute mark. Now, just watching a really weird replay of Hamilton cutting Eau Rouge quite badly there. Hopefully he hasn't caused any damage to the floor of his car. Watching now, Lando Norris on a hot lap. Will he be able to take that time from everyone overall? What is his first sector looking like at the moment? They're not bringing up those sector times, so just waiting for that to be put on the board. It's personal best through there, but nothing purple. Let's see what he's able to do through turn 9 and turn 10. That sector is drying up super, super quickly at the moment. Dry lines being formed throughout the circuit.
And
Lots of
course,
drivers making their way into the pits now, Mark.
yeah, I mean, I was actually just going to speak on Norris, the fact that he's quietly didn't actually do that well in Q1. He almost got eliminated. He was very close to that drop zone. He finished in 14th position in Q1, so was very, very close to that drop zone. So he needs to make sure that he doesn't happen to do that again this session. Yeah, so quite crucial that this sector time needs to be quick, but it's not. It's 2.7 seconds behind, and Hamilton has had his track time deleted for track limits at turn 4.
That's disappointing, unfortunately, for Lewis Hamilton. Just watching Lando Norris, he's catching a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Hopefully, they will get out the way. The first one does. The second one is possibly just a little bit too far ahead, as I think that Carlos Sainz does get off the power and gets out the way for him. Lando Norris now making his way through the bus stop chicane. He comes into the pits because he takes that curb a little bit too hard. 6 minutes and 50 seconds left of the session. I think he's going to come in and put on a set of possibly soft tires.
Yeah,
saying it has got more damage.
No, everybody is coming into the pits here. And they're all doing a proper pit stop because they know that it's good enough for the soft tires and the dry tires. And there we see Lando Norris moved onto the soft tires, as has, I think that is that Charles Leclerc?
Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
So it is now finally dry enough out on track. As we see, I think this is Sergio Perez on a hot lap. Sergio Perez is on a hot lap. Max Verstappen on an out lap at the moment on a set of softs. So as you said, everyone just doing some quick pit stops and just getting out onto track on a set of softs to finish up this Quali 2 session. Almost at 2,000 viewers now, Mark. So getting quite high up there. Thank you very much for joining our stream. Please do be sure to hit that like button. It does help us get a little bit more recommended in the search bar. So please be sure to hit that like button. Max Verstappen on an out lap at the moment. Big news, though, from Quali 1 was that, unfortunately, Daniel Ricciardo was ejected from that session for his lap time being deleted. He did set a lap time fast enough, but then it was deleted. Valtteri Bottas now coming across the line to start the first lap time on a set of softs.
If I could just interject here, Reese, quickly, it's a very good point that Pureblood brings up, and that's why Norris was also finishing relatively low down. He actually got a bit of floor damage, we reckon, and from when he went off into the gravel there, so it's probably why he's going around slowly. So it's going to be quite difficult for him to continue the session and get up right up there. So all to race for here for Norris.
Yes, I did say that a little bit earlier in response to Pureblood's comment. I think it was possibly when my mic was maybe getting a bit iffy. But we're just watching Valtteri Bottas 1.7 seconds off in the first sector.
Yeah.
Maybe just struggling to get tire temperature in first.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, and also there's still a couple of spots on the track that are a little bit wet. But he should be able to go around, although he seems to be just nursing the car through now. I think he's given up his lap. Yeah, he has given up. I think he just had a little bit of a moment. Yeah.
Maybe he just needs to do a double warm-up. Sometimes we do see this here. And yeah, Stevie P just asking there in the comment section, can we get to 34,000 subs this weekend? Let's get to that number. We're currently at 33.4 thousand. Not too far away, so please do be sure to subscribe to the channel, and as I said earlier, please do like the video. We have now passed 2,100 viewers. Thank you very much for joining on our stream. George Russell on the radio. Ooh, big slide from him.
Yeah, George Russell still continuing and starting his lap now. There. So he's going down a Rouge, and let's see what sort of times he can put in. He's following there what looks to be a Ferrari. Hoping the Ferrari gets out of his way because he's clearly on an outlap there. I don't know which one.
He's getting a slipstream. That's fine. He's getting a slipstream.
Yeah, so he's going to use that. He's going to come towards
he
the end
actually
of
has
sector
to make
1.
an overtake on the Ferrari into turn 4.
And he's much slower than Bottas's time as well, Russell. And Bottas is all the way down in 10th, so Russell's going slowly. So I don't think these softs are working yet. And it's going to be very, very risky here because, I mean, we've only got 3 minutes and 35 seconds left of the session, and we've got 2 Mercedes, a Ferrari, a McLaren, and an Aston Martin all in the relegation zone for Q2. It's unheard of.
Yes, it is relatively unheard of. I mean, we don't want to see Lando Norris not finishing out in Q3. I mean, gosh, that would be ridiculous if we have Lando Norris, both Mercedes and Carlos Sainz out.
Yeah, I mean,
I did say the wet weather could really throw it to the teams this weekend. So, whoa, Esteban Ocon has broken his front wing. Esteban Ocon, that is certainly his session over. He has lost it and broken his front wing.
Oh, and stuff just keeps flying off as well. So he's just putting debris on the track right now.
That's going to cause at least a yellow flag.
This is going to be a bit of a problem for everybody on the track, I think, because he's going to have to come in. I don't think it's going to cause any issue, but he's certainly probably his time is currently going to be the only one on the board. But at the same time, what did he do? Let's just see the replay here. I think he
just coming through turn 8.
just
It's still
loses
a
it
little
into the
bit
gravel.
slippery through there. Yeah,
really
that's
goes
a
to the
bit
wall.
difficult. Ooh, God. Yeah, he just has a bad snap and goes into the wall there.
A bit of an awkward one there for Esteban Ocon, and he's really damaged his front wing there.
Good
So
point for all of those fans to have seen that. There's a whole bunch of them up above that corner, so they would have gotten a great view of that. But just seeing all of those boards being flicked off of his car, I don't think anyone's going to get a faster lap time then.
no, and now watching
not
Lance
dry
Stroll
enough.
following and just seeing Lance Stroll having to go through his lap, it just takes a little bit of the debris
Oh,
there
gosh,
from that.
really getting sprayed with gravel onto the circuit there as Oscar Piastri went off. Watching now is this Oscar Piastri now coming through the middle sector. Sorry, not Oscar Piastri, Esteban Ocon.
As
He's gone
Piastri has
fastest in
now
the middle
gone fastest in the middle sector, so now these soft tires are working. So now we're going to see some times tumble with just 1 minute and 40 seconds left of the session. So it's going to be absolutely crucial for all those in the soft tires to get some decent lap times in right near the end of the session. Who's going to finish in the elimination zone? Let's wait and find out.
Piastri once again finding brilliant time out on track. We see that he's just really coming into his own in this car, as he does seem to back off now. He's going to start again because his next lap is going to be his last lap, and that's the one that really counts here. Lewis Hamilton now coming through the final sector, coming through turn 19 nice and neatly. Will he be able to get faster on this lap time to Max Verstappen? He goes fourth. Lance Stroll now making his way through the final sector as well. Stewards noting turn 4 incident involving Hamilton and Russell will be investigated after the session for rejoining the track unsafely. George Russell 1.7 seconds off of Lando Norris fastest middle sector. Lance Stroll goes third overall for now.
Perez now goes fastest.
falling.
Perez
Yes.
has now gone fastest, and these lap times are going to tumble. And you see, the biggest thing now is, might be a little bit of a moment there for Russell, but Russell's now coming into the final start-finish straight. Let's see what sort of time he puts in. Will it be good enough? Oh, much better from Russell. 154.9.
P1
Norris
now, but he
moves
has
into 1.
Norris behind him. Yes. Who has taken that P1 spot from him. Carlos Sainz now coming across the line. Where will this put him? He goes up into second. Brilliant that time for Carlos Sainz.
Charles Leclerc now finishing up his lap, coming around the final couple of corners here before he will finish up his lap. What sort of time we're going to see from him? It looks to be slow. I think he's starting again. That's what he did. He backed off and he's going to start again. He's got to do his last lap here.
He's got 5 seconds. He's timed it perfectly if that was the intention. So he will go on one final lap. Gasly moves himself up into 6th. Watching Bottas now finishing up a lap time. What will Piastri be able to do though? He was absolutely rapid through this middle
He's
sector.
right up on Norris's time.
2.4 seconds up at the moment. That is absolutely rapid out on track.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see these times quickly tumble as Bottas now crosses the line and he moves into 3rd position. So lots of drivers are going to be at risk. I think Perez is going to be one of them as well. Yet again, I think he might actually have a bad session here because I don't think he managed to gear up to start another lap well enough. Tsunoda's now going to come across the line in a much quicker time than everybody, a 153.1. And Piastri now crossing the line. Let's see what he puts in, and also 151.5. So, I mean, yeah, we're seeing these times just dramatically stop.
1.5 is brilliant around this track. Lewis Hamilton now goes into 2nd as the clock has run out. We do see drivers finishing up their lap times now. Lance Stroll doing well as well up on Gasly's time. What will he be able to do? Piastri though, absolutely on form here. Stroll now moves into P2 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez finishing us up his lap time. He moves through turn 19, crossing the lap. The start finish straight now. He moves himself up into P4. He keeps himself safe. Fernando Alonso
he's got a bit of a
moving through the
moment
final
there.
sector. Yes, he's had a little bit of a slide through there, but will he be able to get himself out of that P5? Let's see what he does now. He goes up into P5. George Russell goes up into P5.
Verstappen has jumped
Alonso,
into the relegation zone right now, so let's see how he does in his lap. He's still going round, but he cannot afford any incidents. If he does, he's going to find himself out of this session. Verstappen now crossing the line. He's going to be absolutely fine. Oh, will he? Only just. Maybe he's not fine. Max Verstappen only finishes in 9th. Leclerc's going to come across the line here.
Not good enough.
Well, Leclerc, oh my word, Max Verstappen's going to drop if Magnussen goes across. Magnussen comes across the line now. Where does Max Verstappen go? Oh no, oh my word, how did he stay? How did he stay in?
Verstappen's heart would have been racing in that
my
moment.
word.
My word, Verstappen P10 just at the skin of his teeth. He has just managed to stay in session. My word, that was ever so close to Max Verstappen in qualifying 2. He'll be a little bit higher up in qualifying 3.
Sorry,
Yes,
just,
that was a little
just
bit close
losing
to
Reese there a
happening.
little bit. But yeah, I mean, unbelievable what's just happened with Max Verstappen.
Yes, just wow. Very, very close for Max Verstappen there.
I mean, sure. I thought that Magnussen was going to come across the line quicker than Verstappen and was going to drop him out. I mean, Verstappen only just survives, hey? My word. And race control has just noted that the start of Q3 will be delayed. I think that's to go and fix the barrier there from Ocon. They're going to go and make that,
Yes.
that area a little bit better. So, yeah, the
That
driver's
also
dropping.
allows the track to dry it ever so slightly more as well. So this may just come into the hands of some of the likes of Lando Norris. Not Piastri comes to mind, but Lando Norris does seem to be a little bit off the pace with some floor damage on his car. Just watching Kevin Magnussen, why he was not able to improve on his lap
Ooh,
time.
He almost had the same
was
moment as
just
Ocon.
Dabbing
He
on the steering wheel. Oh, he did have the same moment, but hitting the rear rather than the front.
Yeah, let's just watch a replay of that and just, yeah, you see it slide out and just literally makes contact with the exact same wall that Ocon made contact with and just puts a bit of gravel onto the track. Maybe that's why Charles Leclerc and otherwise went slower. Charles Leclerc got quite badly impeded by the Haas.
Yes, very, very badly impeded by the Haas. He was very lucky to not get eliminated from this quali session because of that Haas in the way.
I mean, unbelievable. That could have really ruined the entire qualifying session for Ferrari. Luckily, they're still going well, as I've said so far. Finished the second and third in that session there, but a great session there for Oscar Piastri. Let's see what he can do in Q3. I'm hoping that we can see him start right near the top, and if Max Verstappen with that 5th place grid penalty is there, maybe Piastri could be in for his first podium of his F1 career.
I really hope to see him get on the podium for the first time. He's had such great sessions throughout the past few races and shown some great pace out there. I really do want to see him just getting ever so slightly higher. Just watching Max Verstappen now being wheeled back into his pits, ever so slightly making it into Q3. That was very, very tight for the current world champion and the current defending world champion.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe how close he came to being eliminated from that session. And if he had, then he would have been starting in 15th.
According to Luke, Verstappen went off the track and in turn 1 locked up his wheels. That would make sense as to why he's done that.
But if he went off the track, there's track limits technically.
Yes, true.
So who knows? Maybe we're waiting on a last-minute track times deleted. I doubt it. We would have been told by now. But yeah, Max Verstappen survives by the skin of his teeth. By the skin of his teeth. Really did. Only just survived this. So yeah, let's see what happens in Q3. It's going to be very, very interesting here. So just to reiterate, those we lost in Q2. Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen, Gasly, and Tsunoda. Pretty much all the ones we expected to lose. And so now, going into our final session, we have both McLaren drivers, both Aston Martins, both Mercedes drivers, both Ferraris, and both Red Bulls. So it's basically our top 5 teams, are all of them in the final Q3 session, which is exactly what we want to see. We want to see the best cars and the best drivers in the final qualifying session here and battling it out at the front of the track. So, who do you think finishes pole?
Well, I mean, I don't think we can count out Verstappen. Of course, he hasn't shown that he's had good lap time just yet, but I think he'll still be able to do quite well in Quali 3. Yeah, it's not him, but Oscar Piastri finding brilliant pace out there.
Yeah, and Sam just making note of Tsunoda P11 and Danny Ricciardo in P19. I think the biggest issue for that is the fact that obviously Danny Rick had a very, very quick time in Q1, deleted due to track limits, and literally by inches, by absolute inches, was a brilliant time. Would have been very, very much safe, and would have been keen to see what he could have done in this session here. But unfortunately, yeah, had his lap time deleted, and that's why he dropped all the way down into 19th position. So track limits are still a thing at the moment. We didn't have it much in the first half of the season, but since, was it Austria, I think it was, or Spain, that we've had lots of track limits for every session, pretty much every qualifying session, Grand Prix, and we're seeing it again this weekend.
Since Austria, the governing of these rules has become just so strict, and it's relatively ridiculous, but it does happen, unfortunately, especially at circuits where you don't have like just a gravel zone next to the curbs, because that's when drivers don't take risks as much.
Indeed. And guys, we've got so many people commenting right now. It's very difficult to keep up if you do want to. So if you guys want to keep commenting down below, it's a very, very, very easy thing that you guys can do. Just hit that subscribe button and you'll be able to comment. So be sure to go and subscribe to the channel and keep the comments coming in here. Yeah, so track limits, yeah, started in Austria was the big thing, and we've had it ever since. So they've been very, very strict on it. Pure Blood also making note of the fact that Danny was still 0.5 seconds behind Yuki in that first session. He was, but I still think he would have done decently in the second session. So we've got all the cars getting ready here for the final session. Some new tires being put onto the McLaren here as we're getting ready to start Q3, which was delayed ever so slightly due to those incidents with Magnussen and Ocon going into the wall at the same corner. So they've just cleared that up, I'm sure, and now we will get going with Q3 in just a little bit.
Yes, Andy just saying Alpine are struggling. Do you think either driver will lose their seat?
No. I think they're both drivers are very,
I think
very
it's more
secure.
a managerial issue and personnel issue in the team. That's well, not necessarily just personnel, but I mean we've seen the team boss. He's now left the team after this race weekend.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, we won't point out the fact they've literally had changes right at the top management structure
Yes,
there, Alpine. Yeah, that is of course not going to help at all with the team this weekend. So not a great session for them, 12th and 15th. They should be a little bit higher up, hopefully one. They'll find that in the race. So just looking at the corner analysis between Piastri and Sainz, it's quite interesting that Piastri seems to go into the brakes ever so slightly quicker than Sainz and still comes out in full throttle a little bit quicker of the Ferrari. So it just shows that McLaren has just really had a brilliant set of upgrades these past few weekends. And that's why they're doing so well.
Looks like there's damage on Sergio Perez's floor. They're looking underneath it at the moment and putting some tape or some glue on it. So just hearing Max Verstappen though, he is not very happy on the team radio, just losing it with his engineer.
Very interesting. I think Red Bull are panicking a little bit because they didn't have a great session there in Q2, 7th and 10th respectively. So maybe it's actually a true reflection of their pace in that session there. You know, I mean, we had lots of different incidents, don't get me wrong, but maybe there's a few problems leading in. We see engineers around both cars dramatically just trying to take some fixes and otherwise get the cars ready for Q3. So it's not looking all that promising there in the Red Bull garage.
I mean, just hearing that radio between Max and his GP on the pit wall, it was quite a heated exchange between them, with the GP just eventually saying, "Fine, then you tell me what you want to do in Quali 3, and that's what we'll do."
Yeah, so that's not going to help tensions in the team. Of course, Max Verstappen is a very irritable character. He does get quite upset on the radio quite often and does make note of any sort of complaint he has. But yeah, it's not great to hear from Red Bull when they're actually fighting a little bit on the radio. So just a little bit of tension there in that Red Bull garage. So I think they know that it's a difficult session coming up.
Yes, it is going to be quite a tight session. 3 minutes left to go until we get the green light here in Spa. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Those McLarens are looking very, very fast out there. Ferrari also looking like they could have some pace out here.
And just to reiterate again, guys, please do be sure to subscribe to the channel, then you can continue to comment and ask questions and engage in the discussions. We are building such an awesome fan base here on the channel for Formula 1, so let's keep it going. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications for all future uploads. Of course, we're going to have a live review of the races events today, or rather the Grand Prix events today, and we're going to be doing that on our other channel, Forever Motorsports. You're going to be dragged straight across into that after the session, so don't go anywhere. We're going to go on to that. Be sure to subscribe to that channel as well. That's for all dedicated Formula 1 content. So if you don't want to be inundated with all other sports on this channel, be sure to go and subscribe to that one, and you'll see everybody. Of course, you only see F1 content on that channel, and it's a great community as well. So be sure to go like that channel as well. But we are so close to the start here of Q3, and yeah, I mean, Reese, I know you're saying Max Verstappen still, but I mean, do you think Piastri could somehow actually continue his form here? He's been doing very well.
I am really rooting for him. I want to see him take a pole here. It would be great to see him take pole for Sunday. It would be very exciting to see him starting from there, especially in the rain. He's a bit of an unknown in the wet, so he could really come through and just shock us all.
Yeah, Lando Norris
will start at 8:03 or 18:03, so in 1 minute's time. Lando Norris, though, currently in his car.
Yeah, race control is notable to be starting in just 1 minute's time. Lando Norris had a little bit of damage, we reckon, to his car as a result of the incident earlier. So we'll see how he can fare during the rest of the session. He doesn't seem to be too affected in Q2, and they don't seem to be doing any work on the car right now. So one assumes it's all good and there's no problems with that car. So hopefully all good to go. But we still see a little bit of work being done on Sergio Perez's car. They're still trying to just maybe sand down something like that. That's what the movement looked like there.
Yes, possibly just having caused a little bit of aero damage underneath that floor of theirs is just so detailed in its design. So if you have any little excursions off the track, you can damage it and lose a little bit of downforce and handling. So yeah, you don't want to do that, of course. Hope just saying Piastri is certainly looking to be the best rookie of the season. I agree with her. Piastri has had a cracker of a first half to his Formula One season. It looks like he is about to get out on track at the moment as we talk about him. I really do hope he has a good session here on his soft tyres, getting ready to go out on track.
Ones as well,
Yes, brand new tyres as we do get that green light being shown for the session. Visor's still up, watching his eyes at the moment. He does not want to be the first one. I think just waiting to see which other teams leap first to be the first drivers out on track.
Yeah, it's very much a game of chicken right now. Everyone's looking at the rest of the pit garage to see who's going to be the first one to come out. I think Mercedes are going to be it. Yeah, Mercedes have... No, don't think they are. I think they saw another team maybe come out early.
Yep.
Yeah,
George Russell's going out.
Yeah, there are other teams that went out as well. So they're all of them coming out now. Red Bull now also coming out of the garage. It's Max Verstappen's #1 car making his way out. Perez now also going to follow his teammates. So we've pretty much got all the cars leaving the pits right now. And we're in for a very exciting Q3.
Splitting those two Red Bulls is a Ferrari. I think that may have been Carlos Sainz exiting the pits there. We do see, I think this is Lewis Hamilton just backing himself up a little bit, just getting a bit of a gap to those McLarens ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, the Mercedes have not been looking bad, and I suppose there's no real favourite out of the bunch because the Ferraris have been looking good, the McLaren's been looking good. I mean, Fernando Alonso a few times has put the Aston Martin quite high up. Of course, Red Bulls are very strong, and Mercedes also come out of nowhere. So it's really going to be a session down to the wire, I think. Oh, big slide there for Lando Norris as he managed to hit a little bit of a wet patch there in the soft
That will
tyres.
just help him warm these tyres up a little bit easier. He's driving a rally car rather than a Formula One car. But yes, lots of people joining our stream. Thank you very much for joining. Peanut Butter saying that she or he was subscribed already. Thank you very much for subscribing to us. Yeah, lots of people just saying Max Verstappen, he's still assuring for that P1 spot, but I don't necessarily know. Oscar Piastri could have some extra time in hand here.
Yep, 10 minutes left of the session. It's a long track. I think you can only get 3 laps in during this qualifying session. 3 quick laps at least. Bearing in mind you're going to have a bit of a couple of laps where you just cool down. So I'm not sure if we're going to have any of them come back into the pits straight away. I think you'll do 1 lap, come to the pits, and then go out for 2 laps perhaps. Do you think that's probably going to be the objective, or do you think they're going to do 2 quick laps, come into the pits, and then go for 1 last lap?
We'll see what happens. I mean, as it's just such a long lap around here, so maybe 1 lap cool down lap, of course, and then come into the pits. And then, yeah, I'll just come out and do 1 final lap because it does look like there's rain possibly coming. There's some really dark clouds in the not too far distance. Yeah, Lando Norris now ramping up to start his first hot lap of the session. Starts this lap now, coming past the start-finish line. Starting now, coming towards the first braking zone, looking very neat and tidy. No lockups from him on the brake. Getting that power down. It looks quite tricky still to get the power down. A little bit slick there, but yeah.
And of course, he's following the 2 Aston Martin drivers who are going to set our first fastest time. So we're going to see Aston Martin, followed by McLaren, followed by Mercedes, and then we've got a split. We've got 1 Red Bull, 1 Ferrari, and another Red Bull, and then another Ferrari. So we're going to see the 2 teammates put in all their times first, and then we're going to see other drivers put them in with regards to Red Bull and Ferrari. So it's going to be interesting to note how the teammates fare against each other, because we're going to see them basically following each other in each part of the track. So Norris currently leading his teammate Piastri. He's the one going out ahead of him. Piastri, does he put in a quicker time than his teammate as they come towards the end of Sector 2?
Sector 1 at the moment they're looking quite similar, but yeah, Sector 2, it's still slightly damp there as you come flat out into turn 10. That very, very tricky long left-hander with 3 apexes. Lando Norris, though, making his way now through sector 2, through turn 12 and 13, coming towards that sector marker. Let's see how competitive he is compared to Fernando Alonso, who has got the fastest middle sector at the moment. Lando Norris steals that away from Fernando Alonso. Let's see
And
what
so does Piastri.
Piastri steals that away from Lando Norris. One after the other, stealing that fastest middle sector. Let's see what Piastri is able to do throughout the rest of this lap, though.
Alonso now going to cross the line here at 1:49.1. That is the time to beat right now. I'm sure it will be beaten a few times by other drivers here, especially by these McLarens who are following nice and closely. Norris coming towards the start-finish line. Let's see what time he puts in at 1:48. 1:48.7. So great lap time there from Norris. Piastri now coming across the line. He's going to put in a 1:58.5. So he's gone quickest. A very, very good lap time there from the Australian. Max Verstappen currently also doing quite well in his 2 first sectors, but not purple either of them. So he's not gone quicker than either McLaren right now.
Verstappen, yeah, that is very interesting. That Verstappen is not faster through sector 1 or sector 2. He has a little bit of a slide through turn 19.
But he does manage to bring it back.
And he does.
His sector 3 was quick. But check on Charles Leclerc, and he's going to cross the line. Oh, a 1:47.9, so even quicker than Max Verstappen.
Even faster. Brilliant from Charles Leclerc.
Yeah. Perez now following on. Where will Perez finish on this track right now? He crossed the line, 1:49.2. Not a great lap there from Sergio Perez. Sainz has got a purple sector in sector 1. Let's see how he fares in the last sector here. He's going to come across the line. Where does he put himself up to? Third, a 1:48.3. So just behind Max Verstappen there. So, yeah, great lap times from the Ferrari so far. Max
Very competitive top 3 at the moment, and of course those 2 McLarens set the first lap times out there after Fernando Alonso, so still a bit of time to find from them too.
I was just watching a replay
of
Lewis
Hamilton.
I think he just hits the curb a little bit hard and just has a bit of a moment, so that's why he lost a bit of time there. So unfortunate for Lewis Hamilton. 1:49.9, he probably would have made it into the low 1:49s there, so probably could have been quicker than Alonso if he hadn't had that moment. So just lost a bit of time there. We're almost up to 3,000 viewers, guys. Let's get there just before the end of the session. Let's get up to 3,000 viewers. Just 5 minutes and 48 seconds left of the session. Hamilton now going again on a very, very fast lap.
Also, only 4 likes away from 300 likes. Please be sure to like the video and get us over that 300 mark. Hamilton, as you said, the best in the first and second sector. Will he be able to challenge Charles Leclerc in this final sector? Quite a bit of traffic ahead of him. Hopefully they all keep out of the way. George Russell also on a hot lap at the moment. Hamilton looking very neat and tidy through turn 18 and 19. Very, very dry now. Looking super hooked up. Derek open now. Across the line, he only puts himself into sixth. Norris and the pit, though.
Oh yeah, Norris has gone into the pits, Piastri's in the pits, Alonso's in the pits, and Stroll's in the pits. The Mercedes have not looked very quick this session so far, as Russell's now just finishing up there, and Toto Wolff is just looking a bit bemused otherwise at the current times. Just 5 minutes left to go, so they need to rocket the way back to the pits, get some new tyres on, and have one more attempt. There'll only be time for one more attempt if they should go into the pits right now, so quite crucial for these teams to hurry up and get back there. Just 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Lots of work happening in the McLaren garage on Piastri's car. I think they're going to very quickly change tyres and get those tyres off. And we're almost up to 3,000 viewers. Let's go. And 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Just to go to Kraz's comment there with regards to Reese's microphone. It's not his microphone that's the problem, and nor is it actually his connection. It's just the system that we use. We are working on an improvement. We will get that improved for you. But nonetheless, if Reese does cut out a bit too badly, I will take over and continue. So it's not too bad. We've got most of the people coming into the pits right now. Hamilton, Russell, and Stroll. Hamilton and Russell, the only ones out on track, but they're making their way around just to get back into the pits. They're going to finish last, I reckon. Last, obviously. They're going to finish their laps last, not necessarily last in placings, but they'll finish.
Verstappen has now got some new tyres on his car, so they will send him out, I'm sure, quite soon once the rest of the grid does make their way out on track as well. They'll be wanting to be one of the last drivers to leave the pits because it just does rubber up a little bit quicker. And of course, the Red Bull does have that 5-place grid penalty for a new gearbox this race weekend. So he will be taking that grid penalty tomorrow. So Andrew Crozier asking who has grid penalties. Great time to ask that because I think it is just Max Verstappen at the moment. Carlos Sainz now leaving his grid box to go or his pit box to go and put in his his next hot lap. He's leaving a bit early, but possibly just fueling up a little bit extra. Or just waiting to see what everyone else is doing by the looks of things.
Well, maybe he could go for a double lap attempt. You could see how quickly he goes around the first
Ferrari
time.
leaving the pit first. There goes Charles Leclerc.
Charging battery.
Yeah, so the Ferraris are the
Carlos
first
Sainz
ones to
behind
make
them.
their move out. So Ferraris, with just 3 minutes left to go of the session, have made their way out to start. And we've got 3,000 people watching, so thank you guys so much for watching. Let's see what happens in these final 3 minutes of the session. It's all to play for as Max Verstappen also makes his way down the pit. There's a lot of cars making their way out. And there's a bit of traffic there before they get going. So going to be crucial,
Very
these
expensive
outlaps.
traffic jam in Spa.
And I think they're only going to have one lap attempt, and maybe if the laps aren't quite quick enough, they'll just slow down and start up again. And I think, funny enough, that's going to suit quite a few of the cars that are actually further back. You might not have necessarily want to be the first ones, provided, of course, you can get round to start your lap. Having said that, I don't think they're going to be getting
You really
round.
do need to get out now because it's getting quite close. We expect a slow lap to be about 2:15, and there's 2:26 left on the clock now. Those two Mercedes are going to be very, very close to that cutoff time.
I think
as
Perez,
is
more than
Joe
importantly,
Perez.
is going to be very, very close to that
Yes.
cutoff time. But I'm sure they're basically going to have to treat this this outlap a little bit quicker than the usual. They're going to have to speed it up a bit and treat it a little bit like a qualifying lap, which of course makes an effect on tires. So maybe Ferrari did make the correct decision, went out early, but I see that I think it's Fernando Alonso has gone out ahead of those Ferraris to try and have some free air and not have to worry about traffic. I think is also the next thing. Maybe I don't know if traffic will be a thing. I don't think so. Let's see what happens here. And they're about halfway around the track with just 1 minute and 40 seconds left. So these will definitely be their last laps.
Charles Leclerc is certainly pushing out there. He's not on a normal warm-up lap. He's going over 200 kilometers an hour through turn 19 there. Through turn 11. So he's certainly trying to get around to finish up his outlap just before it gets underway. The Red Bull engineers looking a little bit concerned, possibly for Sergio Perez.
I think it's not just for Perez, but I think it's also for Perez really needs to get a move on. He's only got 1 minute and 10 seconds left to get across the line, so he really needs to start putting the pedal to the metal here. He's going to be really pushed for time, I think. As we do have now the last lap starting here. I think that is Lance Stroll who started his lap. Yes, it's Lance Stroll started his lap there. And the two Ferraris are about to start theirs. It's going to be right down to the wire. Don't go anywhere, guys. Let's see what happens in this final session.
52 seconds left of this qualifying 3 session. As they cross the line, they are still allowed to finish the quali lap attempt that they are on. So it is going to be their last hope to get any further up for Sunday. So we now have Carlos Sainz starting his first hot lap. Let's see what he's able to do. He is making his way through turn 1 at the moment, looking very neat. Getting very close to that apex there. A little bit of a slide as he exits that turn 1. Some people asking where Daniel Ricciardo is. Unfortunately, he was eliminated in quali 1 due to his lap time being deleted. Carlos Sainz coming through turn 3 and 4. Eau Rouge and Radion now very fast. DRS wide open as he comes down that long DRS straight.
So we just noted that Sergio Perez managed to go and overtake Russell near the start of his
Did you
lap
see
there.
the condensation forming underneath the front wing there? That was incredible to see. That's caused by the DRS.
Charles Leclerc's got a purple first sector. Sorry, we just want to note that. And he's had it taken away.
Looking very fast out there at the moment.
Max
It has
Verstappen
been
now
taken
has
away.
the first sector, purple sector. First sector is now belonging to Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, let's see how well he can go around. Max Verstappen's gone around very, very quickly in the last sector. So the fact he's got a purple sector in sector 1 is a very, very good thing for him. He should finish right at the top. Charles Leclerc now gets a purple sector in sector 2. Will that be taken away by Max Verstappen or not? We'll wait and see. These Ferraris are looking very, very quick this qualifying session. Hopefully they'll finish nice. And track limits might be a little bit of a thing there for Charles Leclerc. We'll see.
That looked within the limits there, but Carlos Sainz also not too far off of Charles Leclerc at the moment. 0.7 up on the current fastest time. Piastri, fastest in the middle sector. Could Piastri steal that pole position here today? Carlos Sainz now making his way through turn 19. DRS wide open, coming to that finish line. He goes fastest. Charles Leclerc. He goes fastest with a 146.9. Let's see what Carlos Sainz can do. Piastri's fastest middle sector has been taken away. Lando Norris also on a fast lap at the moment. Carlos Sainz goes up into P2, but waiting to see what Piastri can do. Piastri now,
unfortunately, just a little bit down.
Piastri only went third.
Only went into third. Norris finishes in fourth. Verstappen, will he be quickest into the final sector here? He's going to have to be quick. Alonso goes across the line, moves himself into fifth behind the two McLarens and the two Ferraris. Max Verstappen now crosses the line and he goes into first position at 146.1, a whole 0.8 seconds quicker than Leclerc. My word.
That is brilliant from Max Verstappen. There
Hamilton
he, of
into
course, does
third.
have that. Yes, Hamilton into third. Where can Sergio Perez put himself now? He crosses that line. He puts himself into third now. George Russell coming across the line. He only goes up into eighth.
So that is the end of Q3. Max Verstappen finishes in first position. Leclerc in second. He's on the front of the grid. Perez in third. Hamilton fourth. Sainz fifth. Piastri and Norris sixth and seventh. Not a great qualifying session for them, but they'll move a little bit ahead, obviously. Russell and Alonso and Stroll rounding off our top 10 there. Notably, of course, Max Verstappen has a 5-place grid penalty for a new gearbox. So he will actually only start in fifth, which means our front row for tomorrow will be Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez, followed by Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Then it will be Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. Now, Piastri will get another good start on Verstappen, one imagines, tomorrow. So we'll see what happens there. Norris will be behind alongside Russell, and then Alonso and Stroll making up that top 10. That is the end of Q3 there. Reese, any surprises?
Well, certainly the Ferraris have impressed me here today. We didn't expect them to be so fast in the dry. They found some great qualifying pace here. Translate through to race pace in the sprint race tomorrow, as well as on Sunday. That's going to be what we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully in the rain, though, they're able to stick to those Red Bulls. Of course, with Max Verstappen taking that 5-place grid penalty.
Yeah, so with that 5-place grid penalty, he's going to have to fight a little bit, not too much, of course, as Max Verstappen. He doesn't like to fight all that much. He shouldn't have to either, but I mean, it's certainly something that we're going to keep an eye out. So could Ferrari do well tomorrow? They're going to be technically starting on pole, so we'll see how Charles Leclerc can do tomorrow. If their strategy's half decent, maybe they can finish him on a podium.
Yes, well, it will be interesting to see what Carlos Sainz will be able to do throughout the race, because
it's supposed to be that one. Sorry, don't know what happened there, but anyway. Sorry about that. We carry on here with the qualifying time. So just to clarify there, our times for today. Max Verstappen finishes in first position. Unbelievable there. And we're going to head straight on into our next session here. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go straight to our other channel.